Subscribe today, Tommy, if you love movies.
Hey, look at boobies! I like movies. Hey, Cinema Gulp, where are ya? Help!
Hey, take it easy.
But I lost Cinema Gulp.
Stay calm. Just go to YouTube to subscribe and hit the bell for all the latest videos.
Hey, we're Cinema Gulp and we drink your cinema.
Thanks, Joe. Now I can subscribe.
And subscribing is half the battle.
I like beer. It makes me a jolly good fellow.
John, my man. It's Jeanette Goldstein. I don't know if you recognize me, but I played Vasquez almost 40 years ago, and I hear that you are having a birthday today, so happy birthday, man. And I also hear that you have an aliens tattoo on your body, on your person, so that means you are an ultra fan. That is awesome. I hope you're going to have an awesome day, and I have been wondering if you've ever been mistaken for a man, because you always were an asshole, Stark. I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. Only thing left to say is, let's rock!
I didn't mean to play that intro, but, you know, it's nice to see Jeanette Goldstein, and let's celebrate John. Come on. He is an OG Cinema Gulper. Welcome to Cinema Gulp's Hump Day Happy Hour. Triple H, if you consider Hump Day to be one word, which we do. Today, Ben is on assignment doing something awesome that is both fun and profitable. And I thought it would be fun to hang out, wag some chin about the previous box office weekend, and peek at what is coming up. And then just talk about Bruce Wayne himself, the Batman. I am joined by a registered bat expert, Kat. Hello, Kat.
Hello.
And an avowed bat aficionado, anti-derivative Jill, who may or may not be here. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been known to like a Batman or two.
You like the Batman?
Yeah, I kind of relate a bit somehow, except for that I'm not as athletic.
Oh, okay. Well, not many people are, I don't think. So, well, welcome everyone. Welcome to everyone here if you are in fact here. Oh, so not really much has been happening box office wise.
No, we're coming off the worst box office weekend of the year.
And
which there are some decent selections of movies, so I don't know.
Well, and I'm curious about Novocaine. I've heard okay reviews on it. I do like Jack Quaid, but it's not something that's going to make me run out to the theater immediately. And obviously, it wasn't something that a lot of people had to run out to the theater to see immediately.
I thought.
How was it?
I thought it was fun. He has the charisma certainly to carry a movie in a lead role, which he hasn't, at least from my knowledge, hasn't done yet. It was kind of funny. I like how they don't over abuse his to the superpower aspect. Like you see that it really wears him down to keep suffering all these injuries because you can't feel it, but like his buddy says at one point, you could still die. A fun little story. Ray Nicholson channeling his dad's trademark crazy eyes and crazy looks. Like, okay, that's good. It was a fun movie. Maybe 10-15 minutes too long. Kind of felt like it was ending, and then there was another climax, and then another climax. But it was fun. I think it should have certainly. I think it's certainly better than its opening weekend box office would suggest.
Well, again, it's something that I'm probably going to end up checking out because, as you said, Jack Quaid's charisma, you can fill a gallon jug of it. I don't know what that means. And but yeah, no, he's very likable and charming, and obviously a nepo baby, but whatever. But yeah, so I'm curious about it. But and we'll get to the one that I wanted to see but didn't get a chance to because it was just too far away. Number 2 at the box office was Black Bag. What's that one?
That is excellent. That was Steven Soderbergh's latest film. It is like an espionage story. It's set in England, deals with current events politically for the topic, but it's really lean and tight. 1 hour 29 minutes, excluding trailers and credits. Cast is fantastic, really sharp script, great dialogue, and it is like two of the best dinner parties ever. I can't believe it didn't. I mean, it was marketed quite a lot. I've been seeing trailers for it in movie theaters for at least 4 months now, but I mean, nobody went out to see it. It made like I think 12 million opening weekend against a $50 million budget.
I got 7.6 mil, but that could
Okay,
just be
7.6.
domestic.
That's probably more. Well, I was looking at, was that global numbers?
No, this would be domestic.
Okay, so yeah, so global was 12. I've seen it twice already. Is its best film in years, and I highly recommend it. Like all editors and screenwriters should see this movie. It's not especially fast paced, but it's not like slow either. Like it's a perfectly decently paced movie. Doesn't waste any time. No fat to trim. It's just really good. I gave it 4 out of 5. I really liked it.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of Steven Soderbergh. Remember when he said he was going to retire?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And sure.
Yeah, that happened. That was like, it took for 5 minutes. He retired. And then number 3, Mickey 17. Did you get a chance to check out the Pattinson?
I did. I kind of felt it was Bong Joon-ho revisiting 2 of his previous films, rather Okja and Snowpiercer, rather than drawing as much from the source material, which is a bit different. And the climax is pretty long. It goes on for 50 minutes. So it's like if you either dig the climax is doing or you don't. And because it's at that point just an amalgam of 2 things he's done before, it feels kind of been there, done that. Pattinson was fun. The whole gimmick of him dying and all that kind of stuff was neat, but I think they could have taken it to more unique places.
Well, and I heard that there was like some people were bristling at some of the social commentary that Ruffalo was doing and Trump.
Oh yeah, he's clearly doing a Trump impression, and it's pretty funny. But yeah, and that's kind of what that is. But if you've seen Bong Joon-ho's films, he always makes his movies have a scathing indictment of capitalism. Every single one of them. It's just that coming off of 4 seasons of the Snowpiercer TV show, and the Okja, that it's like it feels too. It's a movie that almost didn't live up to its trailer. It's like there's so many different creative ways it could have gone, like new creative directions, and it just didn't.
And so I guess domestically for its second week in release, it's at 33 million, just a hair over 33 million. And then hanging in there in the top 5, everyone's favorite box office disaster that somehow is still after 5 weeks in the top 5. Captain America, Brave New World. Wow. Did you see it?
I did. It doesn't look cinematic at all. It's a movie where Captain America is not the main character in his own movie, which is messed up. It's trying to walk a tightrope politically between what it's saying and what it's not, which is kind of weird. Harrison Ford is great, though. He really brings his A game. I was like, wow, he actually you could tell he had a lot of fun in that role. I question the logic in making it basically a direct sequel to the Incredible Hulk film with Edward Norton from 17 years ago, because Marvel has, up until recently, done their damnedest to get you to forget that movie. So is anybody even going to remember Tim Blake Nelson's character from that film and what's going on? I'm like, yeah, they remind you, but I mean, do we care? I don't know. It's kind of like, as a movie, it's like, okay, you're doing the Skyfall plot, but the execution is really shoddy, and you could tell that Giancarlo Esposito was added in post, but he's great for the little bit that he's in there. But it's like, it's just the whole movie it's a bit of a mess. I mean, it wasn't awful. It's not like the absolute bottom tier. I'd say it's probably the top of the bottom third, if that analogy tracks. So.
Well, and I've been hearing people sort of talk about this. I don't even know what phase we're in, but this phase of Marvel is being sort of a rebuilding era to sort of garner some more goodwill from audiences after the Eternals and after Quantumania and all the jazz that happened with the Kang the Conqueror. That I forget his actor, John Majors. But I thought it was fine. It was good. It actually made me want to go back and revisit Falcon and the Winter Snowman, Soldier. But
I watched it in lead up to the movie, and it actually wasn't as bad as I remembered it. It's like, okay, some of the things go down better, but it's still you could tell that they aborted their original plot plan at the halfway point or whatever. It still feels really,
right, because that was supposed to be it was going to be like biological weapons for a global pandemic, wasn't it?
Yes, because the Flag Smashers wanted to go back to a world without borders during the snap. period, and they were just gonna kill everybody. And they thought that was which is why they're stealing the vaccines from one of the places, because it's apparently a virus that was sourced from something that already exists. So they were trying to steal vaccines and stuff to prevent there from being any any way to combat it. And it's like when they got rid of that, it just didn't make sense. Like I get what your political stance is, but your actions make no sense to to be conducive to that.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a mess.
Well, and I did like, and this is somewhat spoilers, but not really, but like the way that that Sam Wilson ends both of those stories is a Stern talking to, no pun intended,
Right.
because of Samuel Stearns, but it is sort of a bit of a lecture to make the bad guy climb down out of their evil tree. So
like a Picard speech?
kind of like a Picard speech, but Sam Wilson.
Yeah. And
So not necessarily as good as a Picard speech.
And then the thing is, I like the character of Sam Wilson a lot, and I think, but I keep thinking of him almost as Falcon, because Falcon's a really cool character. Whereas the guy they're now using to replace him, Ramirez, it's like they're making him too much of a dimwit. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do this Batman and Robin type thing where he's looking up to Sam, but it's like, you've already told us that this character has been in the military for quite a long time, and he's coming off as way too goofy, unprofessional, and not very good at his job as the new Falcon. So it's like, this isn't really working, and a lot of his dialogue and humor was very cringe to me.
I didn't mind him as a character. I thought that people were slagging on him, and I just found him to be comic relief in what is a fairly like straight movie. Like there's not a lot of whimsy in there, but I thought he did a good job for what he was supposed to be doing. And he does basically play the sacrificial lamb to show what the stakes are. That's not really a spoiler, because you'd have to see the movie to understand what I mean by sacrificial lamb.
Well, but this far out from the movie, are you worried about spoilers still? I guess it's nice.
You give me crap about doing spoilers for a television show from 1960. So yes, I'm always worried.
That's when it's the entire live stream, and you want to hit the end of the live stream, like 10 minutes in.
I did better this week though. And then rounding out the top 5, this is the one that I really wanted to see. And there's been some news happening surrounding the studio. But the day the Earth blew up, a Looney Tunes movie, number 5, with $3.1 million at the box office. I don't know what the budget was. I wanted to see it. Apparently, it's got good reviews. Like it's if you care about Rotten Tomatoes, it's certified fresh. So it is apparently pleasing for both kids and adults alike, almost back to form for Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm. I saw it.
Yeah, well, and like, did it sort of strike that fun for all ages, or what did it skew kiddie? How did you feel?
Oh, for sure. It'll be fun for all ages. It did feel a bit long. Maybe they could have thrown in a couple more Looney Tunes characters in there for the hell of it. But kids are going to love it. There's some jokes that adults really like. And the budget was $15 million, but Warner Brothers paid for it, whereas Ketchup Entertainment is the one who actually bought it. Now, I don't know how much they bought it for, but apparently they own all of it. So all the streaming rights, the home media, the profits, all that kind of thing. And it made $1.9 million in Germany and Switzerland alone last summer without any marketing, which is probably why they didn't bother marketing it stateside. And it made, with the $3.9 million globally this weekend, it's now at $5.8 million. But again, the $15 million budget is nothing off Ketchup, because Ketchup owns it and they didn't pay for it. So what we do know is that they paid to acquire it, but we don't know how much Warner Brothers sold it to them for. That's the mystery.
And there was some concern as to whether or not it was going to be returning this weekend, even though it hit the top 5. But apparently I saw something on Twitter, because it's been mostly social media driven in terms of its marketing, that it will be returning to theaters again this weekend. It'll have competition especially for family movies, but we'll get to that in a second. But the big thing with Ketchup Entertainment is they're apparently now in talks to get Coyote versus Acme.
Yes, which must mean that Warner Brothers didn't take the tax write-off, because otherwise they couldn't legally do that. I know that Warner Brothers paid $70 million to make that movie, and they wanted other studios to pay $70 million so they can recoup their budget and cut them in for profits, which is why nobody else picked it up. It's like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it must have just been sitting on a shelf, because not only did it get backlash from fans and filmmakers alike, but apparently there were a lot of creatives who even canceled upcoming meetings at Warner Brothers when they found out they scrapped the movie and were going to tax write off it. So
good for them.
they just didn't. So I guess they just didn't take the tax write off. If Ketchup gets it, it's going to cost them $50 million, but they will own all of it, like they did with this one. Question is, will Warner Brothers go for it, or will Ketchup go for it? Because $50 million is a lot of money, and I don't know if they're using this Day the Earth Blew Up as like a litmus test to see, oh, is it going to be worth shelling out? Even though Coyote versus Acme is probably going to be a funner movie for families, and just because it's based on that really hysterical New Yorker article. About the whole, the whole meta aspects of it. And I think you can market a pretty good movie out of it, depending on, because Ketchup has other projects they've done. They co-financed Michael Mann's Ferrari movie, which admittedly didn't do well, but that was a mitigated risk for several other projects. So I hope they get it, because I would love to see this movie. And apparently the deal includes, if they sign it, a full theatrical wide release next year for Coyote versus Acme, if they go for it. And I'm really hoping they do, because I love Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. They're like my favorite Looney Tunes and characters. And cheers to Warner Brothers for pulling all of the old Looney Tunes cartoons off their streaming service this past week. I was watching them like crazy last year for fun.
I just don't even understand.
Yeah, what is going on with that? I was just going to ask about it.
Did they do a press release and say that they don't like art anymore?
I don't know, but they kept all of the newer Looney Tunes stuff from this century, just nothing from the classics. There are other places you could find them on, like, Fandango at home.
Physical media.
Yeah, physical media, but I don't know why. I can't imagine there's any cost to them keeping it on the service. I mean, if you can keep the new stuff on there, I don't know why you can't keep the old stuff on there. You would think you'd want to leave it on there the weekend that the movie comes out to help promote it. Well, then again, Warner Brothers doesn't own the Day the Earth Blew Up movie, so I guess they don't care.
So it's no skin off their back. But but it just doesn't, like, when I think of Warner Brothers, that is like one of the things that it's a light bulb over my head. It's like, oh yeah, Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes. Yeah. And I just don't understand how that, like, that's like Disney saying, nah, we just don't really care about Mickey Mouse anymore. F Donald Duck. It just doesn't make any sense. But I'm glad that someone is actually handling it with care.
Yes, so fingers crossed that the deal goes through. And go support the new movie. If you want it to go through, go support The Day the Earth Blew Up. Go see it.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to.
Take your kids out there for a big birthday party or something.
Before we get to what's coming up, because I can only think of one and I don't really want to talk about it, I do want to say hello to the chat. Hello, File 13. Who says, I saw the old TV show Batman in Puerto Rico when I was a kid. They were rolling around in the Batmobile. Why they were there, I didn't even know. And goes on to say, as far as Batman, I enjoy the black and white versions. Interesting for the time that it was made. Well, I touched on them briefly today. I sort of skipped through the serials. We'll talk about them in a second. Hey, Bumpmaster 1 says, hail chat and Scott and group. Thank you for being here, Bumpmaster 1.
Hello, Bumpmaster.
And looks good. Mackie is a great Falcon. I think he's a great Falcon. I think he's a good Captain America. I think it's just going to take him a little bit longer to fully stand tall with the shield.
Yeah, it just felt this movie was more like a Falcon movie because he wasn't as forceful with his position as Captain America. So it's like, if you call this a Falcon movie, I think optics-wise, people love it a lot more. Because if you expect it to be, like in all of the Captain America movies, Steve Rogers takes a very strong stance against not just his enemies, but also his allies. And you didn't really have that in this movie. It was like, so it was weird. But yeah, I agree. You think he's a great Falcon.
Well, and it's also that he kind of like, it's good because a lot of people have been saying, like, when it comes to the Marvel movies, people say, do I have to go and do all the homework with the TV shows to get into the new movies? And the answer is not, like, the answer is no. You don't really have to, because the movies, like Multiverse of Madness, pretty much recapped what was going on with Wanda. The Marvels pretty much recapped everything you needed to know that was going on with Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan. It was encapsulated. You didn't need to see the show, but I'm sure you would get more enjoyment out of it. What I found with Captain America was that they were touching on a lot of the beats that they had already touched on in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like a black man carrying the mantle of Captain America. And I thought that had sort of been at least addressed and rested. But now with this one, and again, I love Isaiah. I think he's a great character. I appreciate having him there as the juxtaposition and also being sort of welcomed into the fold and then things go awry kind of stuff. But it just felt like they were touching on things that had already been established in the television show. But cinematic universe, we're always going to hear about Tony's PTSD after the Avengers. Even if you only liked Iron Man, even if you didn't see Iron Man 3 and you like the Avengers, you're still going to hear about his PTSD.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that I was just going to say, it's funny, like with the Marvels, is that I felt that there was a lot more missing material for Carol Danvers than Kamala Khan. I didn't see the Miss Marvel TV show with Kamala Khan, and that's a miniseries, so that's like a lot more hours of television than the Captain Marvel movie. Yet I didn't feel lost at all watching that movie, because that was the first time I'd seen her. But I felt more lost about what's going on with Carol, despite that I'd seen her movie before that.
Yeah, but also with the Marvels and Brie Larson and all of that, like it's so difficult because there is a certain opinion on Carol and on Brie Larson specifically, but our Miss Marvel was fairly well received. I thought that the reviews on that
I'm not talking about fan reception. I'm talking about like just watching the Marvels. I had not seen the Miss Marvel show. I was not lost at all with their introduction to Kamala Khan, even though I didn't know who she was. Whereas Carol Danvers, despite that I had seen the Captain Marvel movie in Avengers Endgame, I felt more lost with where she's at in that that Marvel sequel movie. It's like I feel like there's so much missing storyline from her character between the first movie and the second one that it's like feels like they skipped over a whole movie.
Well, and I agree with that. And the reason I bring up sort of fan reception is just that if there was a desire to sort of pull back on Captain Marvel and push forward Miss Marvel a little bit more, just in terms of, okay, people don't seem to be responding very well to Brie Larson. Let's focus on the actress that people do care about ish. I don't know. Just an idea. But thanks for being here. Looks good. And Lemon. It's good to see Lemon Pie. Howdy, Ben, Scotty, and Kat. Actually, it's anti-derivative Jill. Ben is on assignment, but he'll be back next week. Don't you worry. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more. And Bumpmaster says, exactly. You were so right about Rogers having a stance. Sam, he is Falcon. Let him fly. Yeah.
And also, I think the reason you say that, Falcon takes such a stern talking type approach is because he's a counselor. He's like a PTSD ward counselor. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And that's great. But I mean, usually in a Captain America movie, that's not going to be your climax, so to speak. Yes, you can have him give a inspirational speech every once in a while, but it's like, no, you're really great at being a counselor.
Yes.
There's other ways you could elevate the character. And not to say that I'm against him, Captain America. It'd be great. I just don't think they wrote him as Captain America very well. I think they could write it a lot better.
And again, I think that it's something that the storytellers, the filmmakers are kind of escalating him with each subsequent story, or issue, if you want to put it in comic book terms, is like he's coming into his own more and more. And so when we do see him with the Avengers, is Captain America, Sam Wilson, Captain America, going to be the leader of the Avengers? Like, is that where the hierarchy of the Avengers lies? And I guess it does. Like, Captain America always has been the leader of the Avengers. And so Sam's going to have to step up. But I think that they're sort of not easing him in, but graduating him with each story.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I could, that's just what I've got from watching it. And I'm a Captain America fan.
Oh, yeah.
So
But this movie, we also know, had a lot of reshoots and stuff, and it just kind of, yeah, whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But
yeah, it's a whole thing. Which brings us, speaking of fan receptions and reshoots, actually, have you seen any the reviews for Snow White, the new live action remake coming from your good friends at Disney?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
So the current RT rating is 48% from critics. Surprisingly, the weak link they're saying is Gal Gadot, that she's just not, because the thing, I think she was great as Wonder Woman, but I don't think she's a great actress, and I don't think she's great in other things, and it shows here apparently. And they're like, no, she's not very good at this role. They say there's 2 of the songs they thought were genuinely good, but those were 2 songs that were carried over from like the original movie. All the new songs they say are pretty bad. They say Rachel Zegler is actually pretty good in the role, but it's like, you know how Snow White and the Huntsman draws from a completely different thing because it's not based on the Disney property, but like taking notes from the original tale. Well, that becomes like this whole revolutionary, this war movie or whatever kind of thing. And I guess reviewers are saying this movie's kind of doing that, but in song, like, oh, we should go against the evil queen and blah blah blah. And it's like, but trying to still hone to that. It's still doing the same thing. The dwarves, I didn't think they were nightmare fuel from looking at the trailers, but they're not good either. It's like, this would be infinitely better if you just hired actual people to play these roles. And it's like they'll have so much egg on their face and they'll never be able to live that down. But
Right, and that's terrible. So many short people could have had a job.
Yeah.
And instead we just have these cartoons when we're supposed to have a live action movie.
Exactly. And I think all of Disney's live action remakes have frankly been lifeless, but then they still do billion-dollar business. So outside of our internet space, from people talking about controversies, I don't know what the average movie-going public's opinion is. So this movie could do gangbusters business just because of that. But I have my Regal card. I might see it if I'm seeing something else, but nothing about it from the trailers seems to interest me. It's like, okay, it's just Disney doing another unnecessary. Like, we have a lot of live action remakes coming from multiple studios this year. It's like,
Isn't there a Moana?
That's
like
next
just the
year.
Disney
That is coming. That's coming out 1 week before the Odyssey next year.
Oh, okay. So Moana's next year. Lilo and Stitch is this year.
This is May. That's coming up in May. And I've been told by a co-host of my Star Wars show, who's an elementary school teacher, that the kids are obsessed with the Lilo and Stitch movie, having seen the trailer. That they're not talking about Snow White. They weren't talking about Mufasa or the Skeleton Crew Star Wars show. They were obsessed with Sonic in December, and now they're obsessed with the upcoming Lilo and Stitch movie.
I think they want the Lilo and Stitch because they have that. They're doing better marketing with that. It's not really a trailer. It's just Stitch destroying a sandcastle.
Yeah, it's that, and then the other trailer they put out, and I question. It's like that's going to go up against Mission Impossible 8, which will not be good for Mission Impossible. And then you have a few weeks after that, DreamWorks is releasing their live action How to Train Your Dragon remake.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's like another where the dragon like looks the same as it does in the cartoon, which is a little weird, but
more animation in live action. But I guess you can't be avoided because we don't have real dragons except Komodo dragons. Then that wouldn't be right.
And then watching the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer, it's like all these dinosaurs look CGI. And my litmus test for that is like the Dilophosaurus, for my money, in the first movie was the most photoreal looking animal, living, breathing animal in the whole franchise. They use CGI for it in Dominion, and they use CGI for it again in the trailer here, and it just looks bland and bad. And it's like, you could have a good script, you could have a fun adventure movie, but if it's just a bunch of bland CG dinosaur stuff, it's like, I don't care. What made the first movie so immersive was that it was real, because they actually built life-size animatronics of those things, you know?
Well, it's
that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've just listed all of these things that I'm never going to see. I'm so out of gas for Jurassic Park. I don't care about Lilo and Stitch. Moana, no. Like, dude, Odyssey.
Like, I like those movies. I like Lilo and Stitch and Moana for my kids, but why do I need them? Why do I need it in live action form? I feel like they did a good job the first time.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to taking a bad movie and making it better?
That's a good idea.
Well, but then you historically, you can look at Stallone's Judge Dredd, and everybody stayed the hell away from the Carl Urban Dredd for either The fact that it was like, oh, I didn't like the first one, and it's not related.
That movie
Or-
wasn't marketed very well, though.
No, I think they were really relying on the amazing power of its 3D cinematography, which was stellar. But I think that was also, there had been a little bit of a fatigue in 3D movies. People stopped caring about 3D that much because it had been, yeah, no, that's great. It's what a kick-ass steelbook as well.
Yeah,
That-
I am the law.
That is a rad
This
movie.
is a great movie, but I remember the trailers were not. You're right. They weren't. They were more leaning into the tech than they were to the story and the. Yeah.
But I would recommend, if you haven't seen Dread, do it. Bumpmaster One says, you guys are so right. What's the problem with hiring the little people for these roles? Sorry, they are small. They can and should be paid to play the small people. Well, I thought that was the whole thing, although I saw a non-spoiler review that said that the hippies from Burning Man that were in the original production still, they're not even supposed to be the dwarves. They're like another group of bandits or something. So
I don't know
they're
if they're
still in
even
the
doing-
movie.
I don't know. Maybe they are, because I have to check the cast list to see if Martin Kleba is still in it. Because Martin Kleba is an actual little person actor, and I don't. And he was, there was a stand-in for him in that photograph that you're talking about with all
Yes.
these like beatniks or whatever. But it wasn't clear, like, because initially Disney said, "Oh, it's not real," and then it is, and the internet took that to mean that these were the substitute for the dwarves, and now it's saying that it might be banned. So who knows? We'll see if that even is a thing, but I'm not sure they're even in the movie.
Well, and I just found out that it was directed by Mark Webb.
Yeah.
Out of all the Mark Webb movies that I've seen, I've liked one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, that's not true. I was okay with Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, but I liked 500 Days of Summer better.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from that, I don't think I've seen any other Mark Webb movies.
He's been directing a lot of television.
Sorry, Joe?
There's also the suspension of disbelief that Gal Gadot is in any way not as fair, not as beautiful as Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but
She's way, way, way more beautiful.
Yeah, but also, like, the
Doesn't really
same
work.
argument could be made about the original Snow White. Like, if you put them in a lineup, Evil Queen's kind of small.
I heard in one of the reviews they're alluding to the notion that they're going with the idea that the queen may have killed her father, which I think is sourced from one of the other versions of the tale. That, because remember, in all versions, Snow White lives in the castle. She is part of that whole thing. And so the reason the king, who's presumably her father, is not there is because he's either died or whatever, and the evil queen's running things. But supposedly one of the other older versions, like medieval versions of that story, the queen may have killed her father because she didn't want him to leave the kingdom to her, to Snow White instead of her. And that might be part of it as well. Because they're drawing from, all sorts of stuff for it. But it's like, again, it's like it's a spreadsheet movie where they looked at the spreadsheet like, well, we've made $1 billion on this, we made $1 billion on Mufasa, blah, blah, or not on Mufasa, but on Lion King, which I thought was a pretty lifeless film. And then Mufasa stuck around and made over 700, which it wasn't a good movie either. And so it's like, oh, well, the numbers are telling us this, so let's just, do that. Whereas the movie they did scrap was they were going to have Jon Favreau do a live-action sequel, or a sequel to The Jungle Book, which was going to draw from some of the other stories that they had not adapted yet. But because Andy Serkis made his Jungle Book for Netflix, they thought, oh, well, now there's 2 of these movies out within 2 years. The audience probably isn't going to be hungry for another one. So they sent him off to do Star Wars instead, and we never got his Jungle Book sequel, even though the first one made $1 billion, and they were all for doing a second one up until the Andy Serkis one came out.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't mind the Jungle Book. Like, I liked it, but it also, like, the whole thing hung around the actor who played Mowgli. And so that was, in my opinion, what made it sort of more tolerable.
And I admit that the actor who played Mowgli in the Andy Serkis one is infinitely better because he's actually believable as somebody who's been raised by wolves in a jungle. Whereas the kid in this one, and it's not the kid's fault, but Favreau is directing him almost like he's a kid in a Halloween costume. It's like, I didn't believe he was actually raised in the jungle, but I still thought the movie was fun.
Yeah. Like it did sort of parallel the animation more as opposed to drawing in on the realism of a feral child. Oh wait, looks good says I thought that doesn't think the Jungle Book looked good.
No.
I thought the Jungle Book was trash. The Andy Serkis one was better.
No, the Andy Serkis one was darker and also adapts some of the other storylines from Kipling's books that hadn't been adapted before.
Bumpmaster says remake The Room, make it better. It would be so boring if it were good.
There you go.
Yeah, because the thing that The Room is great for is it's like apparently I haven't seen it yet, so it's apparently such a bad movie that's just a really fun group movie to watch. He actually just came to Sacramento twice in the last few months. Well, just a couple years ago now to do a Q&A with the movie. Tommy Wiseau, that is, and it's like that's kind of special for that movie to be what it is. Like, yeah, you can remake it with the same story and be infinitely better, but it's going to be bland and nobody will care.
Yeah, like it is the imperfections that make it kind of beautiful.
Yeah,
and there are many of them. Imperfections, I mean. But yeah, so yeah, I'm Jill. Are you gonna be checking out that there Snow White?
I'm not interested in it. I think I'd rather take my kids to Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I hear this one doesn't even have the romance in it. So what's the point of Snow White without
no,
that?
It's
That's
there.
the heart.
Apparently, it's there.
Movie? It is.
Yeah, there is the prince character in there, and some critics thought, he's okay. Others thought he's kind of lifeless, but it's there. It's just kind of in the first movie, yeah, she's daydreaming about that, but he's not really a focal point of the story until like the end of the movie. So I don't know what they'll do with him in this one, though.
But yeah, I from what I understand, in terms of the controversy that people who don't live on the internet like we do, apparently that was just a stupid thing that she said in a press junket about it, and then when you go and see the movie, the
stupid shit she says is what drives people away from this movie.
Well, we'll see. Like, and as Kat said, and this is where I'm gonna have to eat crow as well, is like regular movie-going audiences may not know what's going on with Rachel Zegler. There's going to be your typical Entertainment Tonight, CNN, like ABC is going to have commercials for it. And if you're looking for something to take the family to, if this ends up being another, Disney live action remake movie phenomenon, then when I start getting uppity about, it's the fan reactions and it's the internet culture that makes it so people don't see insert name of movie here. My go-to is always Furiosa. And if this is good, because this has been nothing but a hate parade for 2 years, 3 years. And so if it still makes money, then not only is the power of the internet pundit not something that I can shy away from, but also like, why do I even pay attention if it's not going to affect the white whale that they've been chasing since forever?
The hate parade is not unfounded. If you even look at the trailer, and they have.
I'm a grown man.
Yeah, like Kat said, the song wasn't good. The one song that they did feature in that trailer. And the whole point of Snow White finding this cabin is for her to offer her help to clean up the place, and she's just ordering all the dwarves around to do it for her. So
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie.
She's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna overtake your cabin, but not do any work. And that's what it looks like. I don't know if she actually does help. We'll see.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's whenever there's a hate parade. It's like, well, okay, and as soon as you see the movie, get back to me and let me know.
Yeah, and there's hate parades over all sorts of things. There's plenty of other people in public who say extremely stupid things, and people keep flocking to them by the millions. So it's clear that's like, okay.
I say ridiculous things like
we'll
3 times a week.
We'll see what the general movie-going audience has to say about it.
Yep. Hey, look, it's FKHC 2005. What's going on with the hail? And Looks Good says, I liked Beauty and the Beast remake.
Oh, God, that was another... I'll say, I love Luke Evans as Gaston. He was great. And Josh Gad as LeFou was great. The rest of it was empty, lifeless. And because it's like... Because
that was cute.
Right, because like in the cartoon movie, Gaston's insufferable, but he doesn't become threatening until the climax. In this one,
Right.
it's like the other way around, where he's funny because of how ridiculous he is, but he doesn't deliver in the climax of this movie, of the live action
Yeah,
version.
he's supposed to incite the mob.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be a lot more threatening, and he just didn't seem threatening in the climax of live action. Whereas Richard White was really doing a great job with the vocal performance and the way they animated that character in the cartoon.
I was always horrified when he threw the father into the
Right.
loony bin train.
Yeah, it was really. I was like, Jesus, this is really intense. And that part of the reason why that movie got a Best Picture nomination, first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. And maybe not a popular opinion, I thought it should have won. I like Silence of the Lambs. I thought Beauty and the Beast is a better movie. I'm sorry, but I do. That's a whole other story.
Wow.
Rewatched that
story.
movie so many times over my childhood and early adulthood that I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
Well, and my nieces, like every time they come over, I've been buying stacks of Disney DVDs so that they'll get in stuff, and I want them to watch like 101 Dalmatians, Oliver and Company, Hercules. Like maybe I'm skewing to my preferences, and they're always just like, we want to watch Belle. Let's watch Belle, and so that's all they ever fucking watch. FKHC 2005 says Beauty and the Beast, the old TV show from the 1980s with Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman. Have you ever seen that, Kat?
No, but now that you mentioned those,
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Wow, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I forget how many seasons it went on for, and for some reason I lost track of it. Like the first season's pretty good, but then for some reason Linda Hamilton goes away, and then it's just the Beast moping, and it takes place in New York City in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sewers, and she gets in trouble, he solves crimes, it's fun, it's good. Yeah, no, good call.
Very bizarre.
It is very bizarre, but come on, like Ron Perlman was like born to play.
Oh yeah,
Neanderthal from Quest for Fire and Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
And Hellboy.
And Hellboy. I forgot about Hellboy. I just have to step away for 1 second because I need to I have to do a bathroom thing. I'll be back in just 1 second. And Bumpmaster 1 is familiar. I don't know if you guys, I'll be back as quickly as I possibly can.
Yes, Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman are great, even though he was just wearing a dog costume and nose. So is that like a Wilfred situation, or is it just they just had bad makeup job?
Well, when I went to go see that live action Beauty and the Beast, they did show some bit because I go to the Alamo Draft House where they play.
Oh, nice! You got
stuff.
That's on my bucket list.
Well, it's fun. It's fun because 30 minutes before the movie, they play lots of weird content that is related to the movie, and one of those things was that 1980s TV show. That's the only reason I know the show exists. I've never seen a whole episode, but yeah, a dog costume.
That's great.
I was like, this is real.
That's great. I still am bitter that they never did the third Hellboy movie with Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro directing. It's like, really, you're going to reboot it? It's like, if there's an audience for it to the point that you feel making another one, then let them do the third one and finish the story.
Yeah. Well, what about that guy from Black Flag? Didn't he do Hell? Wait, what am I thinking of?
I know David Harbour did that live action Hellboy. It wasn't very good. You don't remember which guy from Black Flag? Let's see here. Let me check out the comments. I'm not sure if I have the ability to highlight comments. Let me see. Probably not. Oh, it's just like Wolf. Okay, so yeah, I don't have the ability to put the comments on the screen, but I'm reading Bumpmaster 1 says Cat, it's just like Wilford. Okay, yeah. Wilford, yeah, that was that was a funny show that with Elijah Wood and his like pet dog, and he's just wearing a regular guy in a dog costume, but it's not supposed to, it's like that. Okay.
Yeah, I liked that show. I really enjoyed that show as well. Yeah. So shall we enter Gotham?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, 45 minutes in. Let's go to Gotham.
Let's go to Gotham. So we're starting in order. This is in no way going to be an exhaustive list. I didn't bring up any of the people from Gotham or Birds of Prey or Titans. Apparently, one of the guys from Game of Thrones played an older Bruce Wayne in Titans. But having not experienced any of those guys, I didn't really want to bring up the kid from Joker or the young lad from Batman Begins. So these are just basically your primary original 9, I think it's 9 Batmans. Now this, as hey, Ben's here. What's going on? Crushing it, guys.
Ben.
Crushing it.
Hey.
Thanks, man.
Hello.
It's good to see you. I hope everything's going well for you, sir. This is Lewis Wilson from the 1943 serial series, and just called Batman. I was surprised to find out how much of the Batman mythos was sort of drawn from that serial, even though they have a terrible, terrible villain in Dr. Jackra or something? I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's all very Japanese stereotype. In fact,
Yeah.
Reading a little bit about it, it was like Japanese propaganda in 1943 to sort of promote the idea of the internments and
American propaganda.
Propaganda against
Yeah.
Japanese Americans, yes, for the internment that occurred in during World War II. But so villain aside, I was surprised the Batcave came from the 1943 serial. The way that Alfred pretty much looks from 1943 on is to reflect the actor who played Alfred in the serial, because before that, he was like a tubby, bald, clean-shaven man.
Yeah.
And then they even wrote into the comic books that it was like, oh yeah, no, he went to a spa and lost weight and decided to grow a mustache. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, sure. But yeah, I watched 2 of these and pretty much decided that I didn't need to succumb to another 2.5 hours of it.
Was it like 15 serialized episodes or something?
Something like that. Yeah. And they're between 17 to 25 minutes long. Basically episodes of television back in the 1940s when you went to go see a movie. Like you just walked into the movie theater, you knew when it was playing, but there would be newsreels that would play, cartoons, and serials. And sometimes people would just show up from week to week to check out the serials. They didn't care about the films. But this is basically just ongoing Batman stories, first time presented in live action. Not well received at the time in comparison to things like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. But yeah, this is the OG. It's free on YouTube if you want to check it out.
And
It is. It's in the public domain.
And they didn't really do a good job on that cowl.
Well, no, I don't.
It looks kind of half-assed. It's not an exaggeration to say the Zodiac Killer put more work into his executioner's head than the film and the costume department put into that Batman outfit.
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention when my friends were doing a watch party of this, but I did see there's a Robin.
There is a Robin, yes. But yeah, it's very loose. Like I would even put it doesn't feel like Batman. It feels more like the Green Hornet, because he's very much like Bruce Wayne is presented as being very much like the playboy socialite by day. And then he's Batman to solve crimes. And no, he never sleeps. Why would he sleep? It doesn't matter. And so there's a lot of suspension of disbelief that you have to employ. But again, it is Batman. I guess you do anyway. But yeah, I've watched parts of it. Your mileage may vary. Check it out if you wish. Then, next up, we got Robert Lowry.
Yep.
Is that a better costume, Kat?
Not really. It's almost like the way the ears are. It looks more like a devil costume. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a red cape because it would fit. The logo is sloppy. It's not very good either. But 1940 serials.
Yeah, does this strike terror into the well? But they had like Bullet Man, like they had the Superman serials were like not really well received, but even the costume was better than the Batman costume. But this is from the I think it's 1949. And it's Batman and Robin. I didn't get a chance to check this out. Have you ever seen the 49 serial?
Maybe one episode of it or something. Turner Classic Movies actually aired it like 10 years ago, but it was super late at night and I was watching a little bit of it, and it was very dated, not very good, but it's okay.
Did you remember who the villain was in it, if it had a villain?
I don't, but I think it wasn't anything comic booky. I think it was something they gangsters or something like that.
Yeah. It wasn't like the Riddler or the Joker or anything like that. It wasn't a comic book villain. Neither one of them were.
Yeah.
Let me look. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, in the first serial, they tried to make the Dr. Chakra guy, the Japanese, play him up to be. It was basically like the Mandarin, except in DC, in terms of a character that was invented out of racism. But unlike the Mandarin, which became a cool character in years later, Dr. Chakra was just for the movie, and that was it. Whereas here, I think it's just Batman facing, insert random gangster here.
Yeah, the dynamic duo face off against the Wizard, a hooded villain with an electronic device that remotely controls vehicles and a compulsion to set challenges for Batman and Robin. The Wizard's identity remains a mystery to the Caped Crusaders until the end.
Okay,
and
see, I don't remember that. I must not have watched far enough to get to the Wizard portion.
Yeah. So, hey, there you go. FKH says the second serials were riff on riff tracks.
Mm.
And yeah, you're right. The Batmobile and Bruce Wayne's car, same car.
Yeah.
No attempt at subterfuge.
Well, the difference is that when the top is down, I think it's Bruce Wayne's car, or when the top's up, it's Batman's car, or something like that.
It's worse than Superman's sunglasses.
Yeah. No, I think it's a little better than Superman's sunglasses to have the car covered so you can't see who's in it. But assuming he pulls the license plate off when he drives around as Batman. But
and looks good, says Dr. Octopus. I don't think it was Dr. Octopus. It was Dr. Mandarin. I swear it was Dr. Chakra, because I was like, Dr. Jekyll? But no. So yes, that's Robert Lowry. Now I don't need notes because I recognize all of these people by how they look.
Mm-hmm.
There he is.
Yep.
There he is.
That's a better Batman costume. I still use work, but that's fine. Adam West is God, he's so awesome.
Yes.
I love the story he told about how on Halloween one year the studio let him take the Batmobile out to go like trick-or-treating, tease people going down the street in the Batmobile. Like, that's pretty cool. He wouldn't let you do something like that today.
Well, and that's the kind of rad thing, especially because this was 1966, produced by Bob Dozier, and like this was they were in production for the first season of the TV show. It blew up. They made the movie during hiatus. I don't know what kind of reception the movie got. I have it. I like it. I think it's a good movie. It's camp, but I really enjoy it. And then going to fairs, state fairs, and parades and such. Like, they really milked the marketing and the requirements of what actors had to do.
Yeah, we reviewed the movie on our channel as well. But yeah, they did quite a lot to market this show, and it was a huge TV show. And it's like each episode is basically each story is 2 episodes long. And at the halfway point, it's always Batman and Robin being captured, and our heroes escape. And then in the first 5 seconds of the next episode, they escape. But they had a lot of comic book, iconic villains from the show or from the comics. But they also made up characters that they're unique to the show. It was pretty fun. Burt Ward was Robin, Eartha Kitt, Julie Newmar for Catwoman, and
Lee Merriweather. Yeah.
Lee Merriweather's right, and Frank Gorshin and Aston
John Astin.
Yeah. So he had good, really great, memorable characters, and of course, oh god, what's his name? Is the Penguin was fantastic.
Yes, the
Burgess
penguin
Meredith,
was
yeah.
so fun. I like the submarine with the little flippers.
Burgess Meredith. That's it. Yeah. Oh yeah, the submarine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was, and I think it's fun, and I know that there was a lot of backlash or hesitance going into Batman '89, and they were like, "Oh, we don't want a live action version of that," and I understand that, and I'm glad that they didn't do that right away. But looking back on it and sort of accepting it for what it is, like campy comedy. It's I think it's cute. I think it's great. There are 2 Batman sets that I do not have that I do want to get on Blu-ray when I have the opportunity, but they're like pricier box sets. And I want to get Batman the Animated Series, and then I want to get the complete Dozier Adam West Batmans. I think it would be fun to just have on in the background while doing stuff.
Yeah, if you're missing out on the villains in the last 2 serials, there are several of them, and they get together, and they work together in this one.
Oh, totes.
And that's fun. And some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
So you've obviously seen the movie, Jill.
I have. I think it was because the Phantasmagorium was reviewing it that I watched it.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you took some pleasure from it. And yeah, FKH is
A
absolutely
ton,
great.
actually.
Sweet. FKH is great, or is totally correct, because it is the Gray Ghost.
Yes.
That was a great episode of the animated series. Beware the Gray Ghost. I thought that was a really clever way to get Adam West involved in the animated series.
It was pretty good.
And then obviously he went on not only to
was Adam West.
That was Adam West.
Very good, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense why Batman's fanboying over him. Okay.
And but Adam West and Burt Ward, they did Super Friends and the New Adventures of Batman in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so that I want to say that he was in Super Friends, but I'm not 100% sure when it comes to Burt Ward, because I recall Casey Kasem doing the voice of Robin for one show. But that's just because Casey Kasem was voicing everything.
That's true.
But no, he went on, like Adam West did animated appearances and even reprised the role in the 2010s with Burt Ward when they did the Return of the Caped Crusaders and Batman and Robin versus Two-Face, which I thought was great, just because Two-Face in the animated movie is played by Bill Shatner, and there was rumblings that Two-Face was going to come in the season that was never produced of Batman, and he was going to be Two-Face, and they just sort of plucked that storyline and embellished it enough for animation. But it's there was always affection towards Batman from Mr. West, and it's sad that he's gone, but I'm glad that we get to celebrate his work.
Yeah, Adam West was just, oh God, he was so awesome. I love that he even would do little Batman-related skits later in life, like when he's doing the garage sale outside the Batcave in the Hollywood Hills.
Oh, sure.
He's selling this junk, and they're like, "What's this?" Oh, this is the Riddler's laser gun, and it's like a hairdryer. Oh, it was funny. But he has a great sense of humor. Yeah, a great Batman.
He was also a mayor for Family Guy.
That's right, mayor for 20 years, mayor of Quahog. Adam West.
Jill, was Adam West in Robinson Crusoe on Mars?
Yes, he was very brief. Well, he was briefly in it alive, and then he shows up again later in the movie as a phantom delusion by our hero astronaut who made the mistake of cooking the vegetable sausage on Mars. You don't cook the vegetable sausage, otherwise you get a really bad trip.
Yes.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to watch Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
Which was good. It was a good movie too.
That's
But
good.
supporting role, and I think I want to say it wasn't Julius Caesar. There was a television pilot that was William Shatner and Adam West, and it was Alexander the Great, and I think it was just the pilot. It's on YouTube as well, and it's just fun to see Shatner and Adam West together. It's great, but any opportunity that you have to not only see the show, or the movie, or any of the animated related works, check out some of the production stuff, because it was so 1960s with like things going to sex clubs and such. Adam West and Burt Ward doing naughty things with pretty ladies. It's all over the place. So
There was another one called the Superpowers Team from 1985 that had Adam West for Batman and Casey Kasem for Robin.
okay, maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, but that's 85, and then they have the. But then Burt Ward did come back for the New Adventures of Batman with Adam West in 1977, but that was animated as well.
Yes, but still, it's great to like, having gone through the 70s Star Trek, the animated series. It's always nice when you can hear the voices of the people that you knew in live action. So
yeah,
I'm a fan. But then there was a drought. There was a drought between the 60s in live action until we get to 1989. The one, the only, the legend, the man, the person who will go and pick up a check and people will say, "No, Mr. Keaton, I will pay for dinner." And he will say, and he'll look at you and he'll say, "I'm Batman." And then you just say, "Okay, fuck it. Fine, you pay." I remember seeing this in the theater when it came out. I remember going as the Joker for Halloween, but I didn't think that he was going to be a good Batman. I had known him from Mr. Mom. I don't even think I'd seen Gung Ho, but yeah, or Late Shift, Night Shift or Late Shift, which is the one where he's with Henry Winkler. First movie, but directed by Ron Howard. I think it's Night Shift.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is phenomenal. I adore Michael Keaton, and I adore him as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he's a very quirky Bruce Wayne, and part of that is because, as Tim Burton said, he didn't really think of Bruce Wayne as much of a character. He's like, yeah, crime happens, and then Batman shows up to stop it. I'm like, well, I kind of like that famous thing where that's basically what Tim Burton said at some con, and then without skipping a beat, Kevin Smith said, "Well, that explains Batman and Batman Returns." Because, but I do like him as Batman, and some of the quirky little gags he does as Bruce Wayne is kind of funny. Like when he sneaks up on, the two reporters and it's in his room with all the art and everything, and they're kind of making fun of him, and he just pretends to not be. He's like, "No, I'm gonna keep playing I'm gonna keep letting them think I'm somebody else for a while." Kind of mess with them because it's funny. He was really good Batman though. And Batman Returns. My God, I love that movie so much.
Me too. Yeah, I was I was much more taken with his Bruce Wayne in Batman Returns, just because, and there's something that pops up in Dark Knight Rises where Batman is talking to Catwoman. And then he turns around to go and see if there are any more bad guys or if there are police helicopters, turns back around, and then Catwoman's there or isn't there anymore. And Batman, and we talked about this on the Phantasmagoria when we reviewed Dark Knight Rises, where he's like, "That's how that feels." And I hate it. I hate it so much. It's probably the only thing that I don't like about Christian Bale's performance, because in Batman Returns, when he's got the Batmobile's been taken over by the Penguin, and he has to turn it into the Bat Missile, and he flips his switch, and he flips it again, and he looks at it, and he's like, "Well, that ain't good." And he says it like Bruce Wayne, because he knows no one's around, no one's looking at him, and it's a humanizing moment for him. Same kind of idea when he gets stabbed by Selena Kyle's, their Catwoman's little claw thing in Batman Returns. And the next thing you see is him sort of sitting there with one glove off, and he's holding the thimble or whatever it is, and he's got the phone up against his head, and he's just like, yeah, Alfred, can you just bring down some antiseptic ointment? And it's Batman acting like Bruce Wayne in Batman's costume always tickles me so much, because he knows he's safe or comfortable or he's beyond prying eyes. I just like that. And I think it's only really been done by the animated series. Oh, no. Bruce Wayne, or sorry, Adam West did it as well when he did the dual phone receivers having a conversation between Batman and Bruce Wayne. But I just love it when that happens, when you get to see the duality of the character. I don't know, it lights my fire, it gets my motor a running. But yeah, what between the two, Jill, which one is your preference, Batman or Batman Returns?
Oh, Batman Returns all the way. That one was the one that I grew up on and rewatched over and over. I only saw 89 a year ago, and I like Vicky Vale. She's cool.
Yes, but I do.
I have a whole lot more fun with Batman Returns, and the city is just more realistic. The city in 89 kind of just looks like like I'm at a play production.
Right. Looks good. Says Keaton was kind of an off-putting Bruce Wayne. Yeah, but also, like, I forget what interview it was, and I think it was a Keaton one instead of a Burton one, but it was like, maybe it was a Burton one, because he said we didn't want someone who was like tall, dark, and handsome to play Bruce Wayne or to play Batman, because it would take a guy who's like 5'10", a little funny looking, kind of quirky. He's the kind of guy who would feel the need to avenge his parents by dressing up like a bat. He'd have to be a little bit of a weirdo.
Yeah.
And that's 89, or is that Returns?
This is 89.
That's right.
The silhouette on the back there. I got I got 2 disc sets. I got the Blu-ray and the 4K. This is one I swapped in because the original ones that came in this case only included the 4K and not the Blu-ray, which has all the bonus features on it.
Oh.
Yeah, Warner Brothers did that weird thing where if you bought it overseas, you got all the bonus features, but no digital copy. Or if you bought it stateside, you got digital copies, but no bonus features, which is very weird. And this is the Returns one for the box set, purple. But that's, so he's got another pose on there, but yeah, and this is just one disc, and you got the Batmobile.
I'm sorry, I'm not making you big. It's just because
you
I'm
don't need
sharing
to.
the screen.
I think most of the people watching have seen this before from our review, so we reviewed it a couple of years ago.
Well, and if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, you'd like to go over and check out the Phantasmagorium show. We did cover all of the Batman movies. Well, we didn't cover the serials. Well, they're not movies. And we even delved into some animated ones. So, yeah. Bumpmaster 1 says, I agree with Scotty. MK and Michael Keaton is better. He's a better Bruce in that one. Then, yeah. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. And yes, the animated series absolutely was dope.
Yes.
Any closing thoughts on Michael Keaton other than, I guess we should talk about The Flash. You saw The Flash, didn't you?
Oh yeah, The Flash. I didn't think it was like a bad movie. Like everybody was like, hyping it out of control, thinking it was going to be awful. But I really liked him in that movie. I like Batman's arc in that movie. I thought it was pretty good. I felt it kind of earned his place in the movie, and not just not just there for the sake of just being there. And so I kind of liked it. I dug it. A nice little send off for his character, because it would have been nice to get a third Tim Burton Batman movie. I mean, Tim is very self-deprecating on the audio commentaries. At the end, he's like, "Yeah, well, I guess it's good we didn't do a third one, so you wouldn't have to listen to me talk about another Batman movie." I'm like, "No, I want to hear you talk. I want to hear you talk about another Batman movie."
Well, then they did extend it.
He said the meeting was like, yeah, they did in comic books. Sort of, but I think it's more of a sequel specifically to Batman '89, the movie, and maybe it either ignores Batman Returns or skips over it. I'm not sure how they dealt with that. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I am curious about it because one of the first, well, yeah, graphic novel adaptations of a movie I ever got was Batman '89. I loved it. Loved the art in it. I was almost just as excited for the adaptation of Batman Returns when that came out because it was the same artist. It was great.
Mm.
Oh, Protein. What's going on, Protein? The worst Wayne by a mile is Robbie Patz. He was barely even there. We'll get there. Well, was he? I don't know.
Oh, every time I think I should watch it, somebody says, no, don't bother.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there. But yeah. But yeah, I didn't see The Flash. I find Ezra Miller to be off-putting. And yeah. But I was surprised. Now my question is, which is better, The Flash or Captain America Brave New World?
The Flash.
Wow. You did
pause as a story. Here's the thing. Yes, the climax is very bonkers and with bad CGI, but I felt it was going very meta and making yeah, we know you're tired of the multiverse crap. We are too, But I actually thought Ezra was really good in the role and had a really good emotional arc that I actually thought was really well done. Whereas Captain America, it's yeah, there's a story there and stuff, and it's kind of walking. We talked about it earlier. It's okay. It was unfortunately we've gotten to the point where it's like another Marvel movie and it's not really blowing us away. But The Flash, I thought was really. Not the greatest DC movie or whatever of all time, like James Gunn and people were hyping it up obligatorily.
Right.
But I still thought it was a pretty good movie.
Fair enough. Protein says the Batman is great. I just didn't like the Brucey Bruce. Yeah, he's a little, the emo representation, because I do like my billionaire socialites to, be handsome and charming. But who am I? Let's see who's next. Here he is. Val Kilmer, Batman Forever. In our slow slide back into the 1960s camp. I didn't mind him. I didn't buy him. I think he was a good Batman. People say that he was a good Bruce Wayne as well. Or he was a good Bruce Wayne and a bad Batman. Is that what they say?
I think they say he was a good... Yeah, I think that's what they say. Or a better Bruce Wayne than Batman, but I think they still like both.
I think I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the Schumacher.
I thought he was good as Batman in certain sense. I really didn't like his Bruce Wayne. And yes, I have seen all the deleted footage for what was supposed to be the darker version. It's not really that much darker or as deep. It's okay. It's just, I thought that if they had stuck with the whole Chase Meridian psycho thing and toned down all the craziness going on with Two-Face and Riddler, then it would have been a better movie, because clearly Two-Face is just a Joker ripoff in that movie. And Jim Carrey is just playing, he's just, granted, Frank Gorshin's Riddler is very much a Jim Carrey type thing anyway. But I was not crazy about Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne at all.
Bumpmaster One says, Val was my favorite Bruce Wayne.
Nice.
And see, and there are no wrong answers. Like, your preferences for Batman or Bruce Wayne, don't let anybody tell your babies to grow up to be cowboys or whatever it is.
It did have a very nice looking. The green, however, looks really great on this one. Yeah.
Jill, you saw Batman.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen Batman Forever, or I forgot it. I think I skipped it.
Both are
but
possibilities.
That brings up a good point of that. How the villains work with Batman is just as important as how good the Batman is, and so. It sounds like, I don't know. I haven't seen this one, unfortunately.
Well, this might be something at this point, because obviously there was the big backlash on Batman Returns because it wasn't necessarily family friendly. But this is when we start getting more into this is for kids.
Yeah, I feel that this movie holds up in terms of, if you were doing a Jim Carrey retrospective, then yeah, this is definitely right there in Jim Carrey's heyday of zany characters, except he's not the lead. So it's a bit different.
It's Jim Carrey? Okay. Then I guess I have seen it. It's just kind of forgettable.
I I did like Chris O'Donnell as Robin, though. I kind of liked him.
That laundry jujitsu scene always rubs me the wrong
Oh
way.
yeah.
There have been times when I've been more aggressive towards Batman Forever, and I'll watch it and I'll just skip past every scene with Chris O'Donnell in it.
And Drew Barrymore in there as one of Two-Face's girls.
Well, yeah, Drew Barrymore and Debbie Mazar.
Yeah, Sugar and Spice.
Sugar and Spice. I thought that was great.
That's funny.
Cinema Gulp says, I love Val Kilmer as an actor, but there's no way people wouldn't be able to tell that Bruce Wayne wasn't Batman. He's got a very distinct set of lips and chin, and a mole, for God's sakes. Well, yeah, same as Affleck. Affleck's got that mole too, and it's just not that one, but he's got a mole too, and it's just like you can't piece that together. Okay,
I can't see where the mole is on his face from these pictures. Unless the res is.
Oh no, it's because of it's on the other side of his chin. It looks like hereish is where it would be, but I think his cowl does cover it up.
Mm. Well, I find that is also a lot with the Batman, where it's like you look at him and it's like, well, it's kind of easy to see what you look like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing if he's interacting with a bunch of strangers who don't know who he is, but it's like, you know.
Well, but also that's kind of like Batman's not necessarily supposed to. I guess he does talk to Commissioner Gordon and he does talk to people who he saves, but the people that he's fighting against, they usually don't see him coming. They don't get to. He looked like a giant bat, man. So it's not like you can. If you put a bunch of people in the suits and put them in a lineup, it's like they all look the same, which is Batman racism, really. All Batmans look alike. But yeah, only one and done for Val. Sorry, Jill.
Was this the start of the nipples yet, or where does that come in?
The next one.
The
or
next
no, maybe it was this one. I can't remember.
I think there were nipples in this one. Yes, there were because there were nipples. Can you milk me, Greg? I have nipples.
I love that line from Tim Burton when they interviewed him for the 30th anniversary of Batman Returns. It's like, yeah, they invited me in for the meeting. They're like, do you really want to do a third Batman? Maybe we could do something small and artsy. It'll be a lot better. And he's like, yeah, they ran me out because they wanted to put nipples on the bat suit. Fuck you.
I don't know. And we were having a conversation about this the other day with Tiger Stripes on your channel, Jill. And
yes, that's what made me remember it.
Talking about the gay agenda or the gay overtones of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and but going through the and that's well, that's what I was just like, I don't think it overtones, maybe if you wanted to inject something like that.
Schumacher is what that is.
Yeah, exactly. The man was known to be.
That was the idea.
Yeah. But I still think that they were cribbing from like Greek and Roman art and sculpture as opposed to
in the city as well in terms of the design, Art Deco, all that.
That's what I thought, but you know, interpretations happen. But seeing as we're talking about Schumacher and nipples, there he is, the Clune Dog.
This is probably one of the best unintended comedies ever made. It's a great group movie to watch. It's hysterical.
Yes.
Clearly made for like kindergartner, early elementary preschoolers. But I guess some of the stuff was really funny. I'm surprised that they actually tried to adapt a version of Heart of Ice for Mr. Freeze, because it's so bonkers in the beginning that it's like you figure he'll just be like the original Mr. Freeze that oh God, what's his name? Otto Preminger of all people played. You know,
Preminger,
just a guy who uses a freeze gun to commit crimes. But no, they tried to give this movie heart with the you know, Nora Freeze and with Alfred dying and that kind of or on like his sickness or whatever. But it just has so much weird. And Coolio is the Scarecrow apparently.
Oh.
Yeah. God, I don't know. I do like that Clooney is very self-deprecating about it and will take his licks for it. And he said he's been apologizing for that movie so many times.
I just love that you say it's for kindergartners because they're the only ones who won't care that every scene just seems like it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's just so
Oh,
the movie doesn't tie together at all.
No,
Very
and
well.
Uma Thurman says she had a lot of fun making it, and Arnold Schwarzenegger says the same thing. But yeah, you're right. They're like in different movies. I mean, you get weird bonkers stories like that in certain games, but they're done a lot better. Whereas here, it's just like sort of like they're getting into Spider-Man 3 territory. We're like, let's give Spider-Man the key to the city. Thank you, Spider-Man, and that type of tone, except in a Batman movie, which is just it's like it's kind of weird because you watch the Adam West series and there's a lot of goofy stuff in there, but you accept it more because it's like a TV show and it has that 60s camp factor. Whereas trying to do that in the 90s and make it fit with the big epic score and the effects and trying to make it seem dark and heavy while you're having all of that in that camp element, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I guess there is a tonal divide between the dramatic Batman stuff in the Schumacher Batmans, like Bruce dealing with his duality and the torture of the bat and everything like that. And it's like, I don't have to be Batman, I choose to be Batman. And meanwhile, you've got cackling Tommy Lee Jones and prancing Jim Carrey. And then in this one, in Batman and Robin, Bruce is dealing with the death of Alfred, the closest thing he's had to a father figure, the second father that he'll have to die. And he's like, honestly, dramatically pondering. And then you cut to Uma Thurman and Arnold Schwarzenegger cackling and making their minions dance. And oh, my stars. It's like, which way did you want to go? I don't know.
Or Bane. Oh God, Bane.
Oh, Bane! I forgot about Bane.
Hysterical, like bomb as he plays a bomb. It's like, oh God. Or the Batman credit card.
Oh yeah, and that's a meme for the love of Pete. Yeah. Protein says Tommy Lee Jones was insufferable. Well, and Tommy Lee Jones found Jim Carrey to be doubly so. But but I think that these
and it's just crazy that they keep wanting Akiva Goldsman to write things.
Yeah.
Well, he did. He won an Oscar, didn't he?
Did he?
For what?
Let's find out. I'll find out. But while we're looking that up, Kat, is this your favorite Batman?
I mean, as live action, sure. I think he's pretty good. Yeah, I like him as live action Batman for sure.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about. I didn't realize he changed the picture because he didn't say anything.
I didn't know. This is Christian Bale, obviously from the Chris Nolan.
Yes.
No, yeah. Akiva Goldsman is Kat's favorite Batman.
No,
that's what I was thinking. George Clooney is Kat's favorite Batman because I didn't look at the screen.
Got Dark Knight, the original Joker teaser poster, and this really badass cover for Dark Knight Rises with the teaser picture of Bane. I think this is a great trilogy. Of course, we already covered it in Fantasmadorium, but him as Batman, I mean, I like him as Bruce Wayne. As Batman, he's pretty good. The voice obviously gets a bit much in the sequels. It's like, yeah, I get you want to disguise your voice as Batman, but there's a limit. I don't think these movies are dark. Like a lot of people like to use the word dark just because something isn't camp. Same thing with the like Batman '89. People are like, oh, it's dark. It's like, it's not dark. It's just not campy.
Right.
This is I really like him as far as movies. I admit I like a lot. There's a lot of stuff I love about the Robert Pattinson Batman, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's Batman for the majority of that movie. Whereas here, as Bruce Wayne, I think Christian Bale is really great as Bruce Wayne, and he's a pretty good Batman. So far, I think he kind of straddles both lines very well. Whereas Pattinson, we'll see where that arc goes. But right now, I'd say that Christian Bale is my favorite live-action Batman.
Well, and there was a lot of stuff that he did in the first two that I thought were great in terms of differentiating between Batman and Bruce Wayne. Like when he goes and buys the hotel with the models.
Mhm.
Like, I thought that was a really cool Bruce Wayne moment. Same deal with when he saves the Mr. Reese in the
Oh, right.
and you did a really brave thing there, Mr. Wayne. What, by running the light? And like it's kind of cool.
You weren't protecting the van. Why? Who's in it?
Yeah.
Or in the end of the first one where he pulls the fast one on Mr. Earl. He's like, yeah, well, I bought most of the shares when the company went public. I'm like, yeah, that's great.
And those kinds of things, I do appreciate those. And I'm sure 1,000 million people, 50,000 Elvis fans can't be wrong, I don't think that Dark Knight Rises is a bad movie. It's just when you compare it to the other two, I don't know, it's overstuffed. It feels too big for Batman to solve. I know that they were doing No Man's Land. Tale of Two Cities, like all of that stuff that was going on with it. I'm glad that they rounded out the trilogy. I would hate to have that as being like sort of a dangling thread of why didn't they ever make a third Nolan Batman? And I just, whenever I watch the Nolan trilogy, it's usually between Begins and Dark Knight. I don't revisit Dark Knight Rises very often. And a lot of that is because I don't like where Bruce Wayne is in Dark Knight Rises.
Each time I rewatch Rises, I think it gets a bit better each time. The scale is amazing, and the IMAX stuff just enhances it. I thought Tom Hardy was great as Bane.
Yes.
But I think that you're right, because Bruce Wayne's obviously in a different place in that movie. He's not really Bruce Wayne. It's like he's reluctantly coming out of his self-imposed exile, and only gets to be Bruce Wayne for a bit. It's like that's the movie where he's the most fully realized as Batman. When he finally does get around to putting the suit on again, or at least during the climax, like he's like they always talk about, like, Bruce Wayne's the mask and Batman's the real person, and you feel that a lot in the third movie. But in the first two, it's very much like street level Gotham type stories, and he's very much still the regular Bruce Wayne that you recognize from the comics in the first two.
Yeah, and it does well, and even and aside from, oh, that's what that feels like, which I hate, but it's also like there are parts where like it's that blurring of what is a hero and what do you have to do to be that hero. Blake is Robin, but not. And it's like it was like all of these things that they were almost committing to, but they didn't actually go full tilt boogie. But then again, I think Nolan and Bale have both said it would be ridiculous to have Joseph Gordon-Levitt running around in a yellow cape. So I don't know. I enjoy the first two, and when we talked about it, and Ben from Cinema Gulp was over on Phantasmagorium. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We talked about it, and when we talked about Batman Begins, if you haven't rewatched it in a while, is pretty badass, to coin a phrase from my friend Steve. Like it is really good, and I know it gets it gets overshadowed by The Dark Knight. But Batman Begins, I think, is a solid flick too.
Oh, of course it is. And I think the reason they don't go full tilt with Robin is because Robin was only invented for something that kids can kind of relate to more. Because, like, Superman has Jimmy Olsen, and even though they didn't fight crime with him, whereas here, it's like, well, we want there to be a kid element to it, but does it really feel believable in the live action outside? Like, certain things translate well from comics to live action, but the other things don't. That's why they made Robin kind of a punk adult in the Schumacher films. I mean, having a kid, a teenager going around and it's like, no, that's not going to work. In the live action, people aren't going to accept that. In the comics, it's everything so silly and whimsical that you just go along with it. Yeah, that this adult man is going to take this little teenager out to fight crime and potentially get killed. But in live action, that's not something that, especially with something tonally like Dark Knight trilogy, that's not going to fly.
Well, yeah, and that, like, I think YouTuber V Infuso, he talks about a bunch of possibilities for Robin and what you could do to make it like Robin from the comic books. And the best example that he gave, I think it was him, was talking about Hit Girl. Like if you, and obviously you can't not in terms of foul language and violence, but, and I mean that in terms of gun violence, but like if you had an 16-year-old kid as Robin, like I don't think that would be that bad. I think that would be an interesting way to sort of run with it.
Well, it's kind of like in the Hawkeye series that Kate Bishop, even though she's 22, even Hawkeye thinks it's kind of wrong for him to be, bringing her. And he's not bringing her along. She's kind of stringing him along, but he feels like he should intervene and put a stop to this, even though she's 22. And that makes sense that he would feel that way. And it's like, no, this isn't really a responsible thing to be doing. So, whereas in Batman, it's like, I don't know if I could buy that as well, which is why I bought it more with the way Chris O'Donnell played it, with how old his character is, and how he comes into being Robin.
And then there was in the comics, you also had All-Star Batman and Robin, written by Frank Miller, which basically showed Bruce Wayne kidnapping a child and tormenting him and feeding him rats in the cave until he became a hardened ass kicker. And anyway, they never finished that particular run. Art's beautiful. Thank you, Jim Lee. But anyway, Protein says Bale is the best Batman. I don't know. We got to get through the rest of the list, and I'm going to decide who's my favorite. Bumpmaster says it makes no sense why Bruce would be like that at the beginning of Rises. No sense from the way he left off as the official Dark Knight Underground in the Dark Knight. I was kind of It
made sense. It made perfect sense to me. Because he had this really naive idea that his Batman thing was going to be a 5-year plan to fix Gotham. Like he's telling Rachel that, oh, it's great. I'm going to retire. And she is like a proxy for the audience that he's crazy. Because Batman, it's not just to save Gotham. It's clearly you need, like she wrote in that letter, that I'm sure the day won't come where you no longer need Batman. And so at the end of the movie, when he's forced to retire, he now doesn't have Rachel either. He just doesn't. It's like a broken thing. He doesn't know what to do with himself. Like his reason that he's had for living and that he's investing in is gone. And that's
and not only that, but because of the Dent Accords or whatever it is, the legislation that went into the Dent Act, like that did essentially bring a lot of good to Gotham. And so there wasn't really a need for Batman. And it's not until Bane and the Return of the League of Shadows. I should have brought a cup. I don't have a cup to do my Bane impression. But I kind of get where, but I think it is Bumpmaster. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's that that's not where we wanted to meet Bruce Wayne again at the beginning of the third movie. We wanted to see him sort of outsmarting the police and fighting crime while being called upon as being sort of an outlaw and a vigilante, which he's always been.
I like that they don't do that, though, because it allows you to tell an interesting story with Bruce that you normally don't tell. Like, obviously, in the comics, he loses allies a lot, and people die, and they don't really address it much. He just, the next story happens, and he's back to being, regular Batman. Whereas in this movie, they actually address it, and it's like, no, he's a real person with real feelings, and it has a severe effect on him, which is why I was kind of wishing they had a more psychological villain as well in the third movie to really drive home the idea that, no, you need to be Batman, whether you like, regardless of whether the city needs Batman or not, you need to be Batman, and you will always feel the need to be Batman. Which is why the Joker was one of the best choices for the villain in the sequel, because who better to throw a monkey wrench into your plans? And
Bumpmaster says, but he wasn't retiring. He was becoming the real Batman. Remember Gordon's voiceover? Yeah, but the thing is that maybe he did do that for like a year while the Dent Act was taking hold, and then it became apparent to him that he wasn't needed. And that's why he became...
No, because Blake mentions specifically when he's talking to Gordon on the rooftop of the broken bat signal, as he says, what do you think? What about that night 8 years ago? He takes out a SWAT team and then he just vanishes and he's gone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he didn't come back after that, because Also, he let his broken leg just get worse, apparently. But yeah, he's devastated. Whereas he says, yeah, Gordon's speech, he's like, yes, he's the hero we need in this moment right now. He is a dark knight for us, like, because he's taking the fall for this. But it's going on to a new type of story, which they hadn't been able to tell before. And it's also akin to A Tale of Two Cities, because that story begins with this guy who's been, in prison in the Bastille for years being let out, and he's a completely broken, different man than what he was before. And you see how that whole thing plays out. So a lot of different influences. It was a different thing. I'm certain they're going to get more into that with the Pattinson Batman, though, in terms of a Dark Knight as they proceed through that series. But we'll get to that when we get there.
Jill, what's your favorite out of the three Christopher
Out of the
Nolan
three?
Batmans?
I have to admit I haven't seen the second one. I haven't seen Dark Knight Rises. Oh, wait a minute.
That's a third one.
Okay.
That's the third
Yeah.
one. I kind of watched the third one on like double speed because I wanted to watch y'all's review, but no, I haven't properly watched the other two. I've really only paid attention to the first one, and I liked it. It was good. Hey, this is why he's Batman. And here's how he got out of this really difficult thing. He got out of this hole that he couldn't get, that nobody else can get it. Well,
so you haven't seen The Dark Knight?
No.
Oh my god, that's going to be awesome when you see that. You have to see that movie.
Yeah, I realize this. I don't know why I drag my feet on this particular Batman. I don't know. I kind of like, because it just keeps drawing further and further away from the comics and stuff.
I am envious.
Even though I never really read them, but
I would love to be able to go back and watch that movie for the first time again.
And I
You're in for a treat. Well, what do you think of Christian Bale in general? Like, just as an actor?
I like him. He's
great.
He's good. He's great. What else is he in?
He was in Reign of Fire with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, of course. He's been in a lot. I think the first movie he was in that people remember was like Empire of the Sun from 1987. Where he's like the kid in that. He was in Thor: Love and Thunder, which was bad. Amsterdam, that was bad. Vice, he was Ford v Ferrari. Hostiles, The Big Short.
American Hustle.
That's my problem, is I haven't seen any of these either.
Public Enemies, The Fighter, Out of the Furnace, Terminator Salvation.
The Machinist.
The Machinist, 310 to Yuma. That's a good remake, actually.
Yeah, 310 to Yuma is a great remake. I gotta write that one down. That's on the list. Whenever anybody tells me that there's no good remakes.
Yeah, that's actually a surprisingly good remake. So yeah, and American Psycho, that's a big one that people, I would argue.
Oh yeah, American Psycho. That might be. I might know that one.
Yeah, that's a good film. He voiced a character in Pocahontas. What do you know? Yeah.
Ben says, for me, the best way to fix the Robin situation in The Dark Knight Rises is for the woman to have said, you should have kept that name Grayson. Yes. Mm-hmm. I agree.
I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robin, but I kept wanting him to be athletic. I was listening to you guys saying, no, you can't give him a cape running around, but I just want him to do a flip or something.
Oh,
right, because there's one scene in that movie where he and Batman get to fight, and it's barely, not fight each other, but fight other bad guys, and it's like kind of more of him just throwing a couple punches and then staring in awe at Batman fighting, when it's like, no, you should really have the two of them, kicking ass, even in this scene.
Well, and it would have been kind of funny to have him say, because there's the old adage about Robin being like, holy fireflies, Batman, and it's just like, holy shit, Batman. If he had said holy shit, Batman, it would have been perfect. Yeah. Finally, Robin says holy shit. Ben says The Machinist is the best Christian Bale performance and possibly one of the greatest performances of the 21st century. I've only seen it once. I'd have to go back and check it out again.
I liked his performance a lot. The movie itself I thought was okay. But he's really good and very dedicated in that film. Okay, he's like totally emaciated in that.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of body work. I don't know. Again, I'd have to go back and see it because I haven't seen it in a long time. But yeah, so Christian Bale, good.
Yeah.
Good for you, guy. Way to go. There's the Affleck. Ben Affleck as Batman Bruce Wayne. Obviously, from a different time in his life. He drinks now for some reason. He kills with guns for some reason. The Snyderverse is its own entity. I like Ben Affleck. In the immortal words of Kevin Smith, if he were remaking Jaws, Ben Affleck could play the shark. That's how good an actor he is. But I enjoyed for what Zack Snyder was bringing with Batman. I just recently got the Snyder cut of Justice League, rewatched that, went back and watched Batman v Superman, the extended edition. And yeah, I like this sort of, this is the Dark Knight Returns Batman without being, he should have been 10 years older for this, but he's still pretty damn good. I like Ben Affleck as Batman.
He also goes around branding people.
Yep. Which is
That
funny.
was confusing. No, I was so upset about that because I just kept thinking, no, this isn't right. This is going to turn out to be an imposter of Batman because this is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, he's branding people. He's killing people left, right, and center. I mean, granted, Batman used to kill people all the time, and the Marvel characters, superheroes kill things all the time. But for some
But
reason,
to be
Batman,
proud of your kills?
right? And with Batman, for some reason, it's more. It's like with Marvel, it's more fantasy-like, even when they're killing real people and you don't really care. Whereas, for some reason, Batman, even when it's fantastical, feels a little more grounded and you go with it. And it's just like, for instance, in the scene when he's trying to rush to save Martha, the sanctity of life, he's mowing down so many people that he doesn't even have to kill. It's like your Batmobile is a tank, built like a Ferrari in terms of speed. You don't need to be blowing all these people away, you know? But he's really good as Bruce Wayne in this film. I really love him as Bruce Wayne. I like him as Batman quite a lot as well. I just don't like a lot of the things he's doing as Batman. I mean, his performance-wise, acting, I think he's good in both roles. But he just didn't get a great movie to be in. And people who read that script said it was really good. The Ben Affleck Batman script, where I think Deadshot was going to be the bad guy.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
But that's what I was just going to complain about, is that he didn't actually, he gets to be Batman in all these movies, but he's not the main character in any of them, except for Batman versus Superman. But
yeah, that movie, I agree, the extended cut is the best version, but that's a movie which is also overstuffed and has other storylines that don't need to be in there and other characters that don't need to be in there. And it's like, you literally had Dark Knight Returns sitting right there. You know, you could have done that instead, and people would still love it. But I don't know. It's
are you saying there was supposed to be, Ben Affleck was supposed to get a dedicated Batman movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was. Ben Affleck himself wrote it and was going to direct it and star in it. And because the executives at Warner Brothers panicked because their movies weren't making as much money or being reviewed as well as the Marvel movies, they decided to abort, and they fired Zack Snyder and they brought in Joss Whedon to save Justice League, not because they wanted to use Justice League as a springboard going forward, but they figured we have to get out of this problem. And so they decided to prematurely just cancel the Ben Affleck movie, which is kind of messed up because they still let the Wonder Woman sequel go through and they still let the Aquaman sequel go through, as well as Aquaman, the first one, to go through, because that was released a year after the Joss Whedon Justice League. So I don't understand why they felt the need to cancel the Ben Affleck Batman movie if everybody at the studio thought it was such a great script. And he's already proven himself as a great director, so why not let him make it?
No, but it was also coming off of the box office and critical failure of Live by Night. And so, you know, with like Colin Trevorrow, when he made that one movie, and then they were like, no, you can't make the third Star Wars.
Well, that's Lucasfilm, and they've been doing that with everybody, which is
no, but I'm just saying in general, Hollywood think like this is, and also the two movies that Ben Affleck as Batman were in, Justice League was not the route over $1 billion. Batman Superman was not over $1 billion, but both Aquaman and Wonder Woman were over $1 billion, which doesn't make any sense. If you put Batman and Superman in a movie, it doesn't make $1 billion. But if you put Aquaman in a movie, it makes $1 billion.
I think that's because it makes sense to me, because like I said, Batman versus Superman, the theatrical cut was worse. A lot worse. Like the extended cut for straight, if, pads it out, gives it more room to breathe. Storylines come together nicer. The theatrical cut, even at 2.5 hours, felt a really chopped job. It was it was overstuffed. There's too much crap in here that doesn't need, like, why is the death of Superman story in this movie and what is Superman's second story in this new DCU? Whereas the Wonder Woman was its own standalone movie with no references to anything else. It was a Wonder Woman live action movie and the fans wanted it. Aquaman, when they dropped that trailer with Jason Momoa, and it's like, holy shit, like that, like they're clearly gonna make, in a way, poking fun at the the running joke of Aquaman. It's like, oh, you talk to fish, and then every cartoon show has made fun of it. So what do you do to kill that? Well, you get Jason Momoa to play it, and the fact that it embraced how bonkers the Aquaman comics are, I think the fans respected that, because the first one is a really good movie, the first Aquaman. And I think that's why it made $1 billion, because it's like, wow, we never thought an Aquaman movie could be this good. And then there was the curiosity factor of, what's this movie going to be? Is he going to talk to fish, or is he going to? And it turned out, it's like, no, this is great. Whereas Batman versus Superman, it's like, you should have just released the 3-hour version to begin with, because that was a much better movie. And I mean, I think it's a better You don't think the 3-hour cut's better?
No, I do. I'm just thinking in terms of, and I'm as much of a Hollywood executive as you are. So when they say, here's your 3-hour movie, it's like, well, how many shows can we get in a day?
Well, Titanic made 1.8 and Avatar made 2.9 or whatever. And those movies are well over 3 hours.
Yeah, but you're talking about James Cameron, and it was you're talking about one of the biggest marketing pushes in the history of cinema, just on the basis of its production. It was in the news for a fucking year and a half before.
Right, but in Hollywood speak, they also know that Batman and Superman are the two crown jewel comic book characters, which I was also wondering why this movie was released in late March instead of being made at the big summer tentpole movie, which it should have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, because again, they obviously didn't know the movie was going to do this badly. So if you think the movie's going to be good because you have Batman and Superman, then it stands to reason if the 3-hour cut is better, just give them the 3-hour cut. And because obviously the executive's mindset was that people are going to show up in droves because it's Batman and Superman. So if you think that cut is better, for instance, Warner Brothers did test screenings of 2 different versions of Mad Max Fury Road. One was the R-rated version. The other was an edited PG-13 version. And because the test screenings were universally better for the R-rated version, they put that version out. And granted, they still lost $40 million on that movie. I think they would have lost more if they put the PG-13 one out. And so I think in terms of Hollywood speak, it doesn't make sense why they didn't make that a summer tentpole film and give it a 3-hour movie. I don't know.
No, I figured it out. Warner Brothers.
Are you there? What happened? Oh,
yeah. No, I was letting that land like a lead balloon. No, just because we've been pissing on Warner Brothers all evening, so I just figured that's why everything sucked. But but long story short, this is sort of critiquing what Warner Brothers was doing with the Snyderverse. As a Batman, I liked Affleck. I liked the voice modulator. As Bruce Wayne, I liked Bruce Wayne, but again, the differences between what I had come to know as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Batman doesn't kill. Bruce Wayne is not an intense alcoholic. I enjoyed the performance for what it was in the Snyderverse. I didn't see as much of Batman and Bruce Wayne as I wanted to, but considering the world with a mopey Superman and all the other things that go around the Snyderverse, I think that Ben Affleck did a good job as Batman.
Yes, I think he did a great job as the character. Just some of the choices they made were not good choices, but his acting was quite good.
Yeah. Yes. In terms
and
of
you can tell that Ben Affleck also got really burned out by the fan reception to things. Like first it was the cavalcade. First it was the cavalcade of hate for casting Ben Affleck as Batman, and then it was the cavalcade of hate for not giving him his own movie and for the Joss Whedon cut and all that kind of crap. And he was just done with it.
It wasn't even the cavalcade of hate of not giving it to him. Is that whenever he went out to promote Live by Night, they would just sit there and say, so when's Batman? When's Batman? And I remember seeing him in an interview, and I think it was after he was like, "I'm not making Batman anymore." And then he came out and they're like, "So why aren't you making the Batman?" And it's like, because I couldn't talk to anybody about anything unless, and then they just jump all over me and be like, "When's Batman? When's Batman?" And it's like, I got other shit going on. It's like when Daniel Craig says, "Can I fucking just leave this alone for a bit? I would rather slash my own wrists than play James Bond again. I don't know when it's happening. Get off my back." I think that was, yeah.
A true story. Ben Affleck also played George Reeves' Superman in Hollywoodland.
True. Oh, wait. There we go. But before we move on, spoilers. But yeah, and then he also played Daredevil.
That's right. Daredevil, yeah.
So, no, Ben Affleck, I enjoy Ben Affleck. I look forward to seeing The Accountant 2, although I don't think it's going to be very much like the first one.
I thought the first one was okay. I didn't like the third act at all. I thought it got a bit ridiculous and contrived, but
yeah,
something about that whole character just seems weird. It's like, oh, I'm autistic, so I'm a brilliant assassin in a town. It's like, okay. I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird, but I might see it on streaming or something. Or if I have something else to see, I'll catch it with Regal.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm an Affleck fan. Jill, how do you feel about Ben Affleck?
I don't feel any particular way. He was okay. I agree with Kat. His acting's good, but Batman shouldn't enjoy murder. He was just having too much fun killing people.
Yeah.
It should be like, oh shit, I have to kill. This is weighing heavily on my soul, and then he kills. And without that, I don't know. Ben Affleck in general, he's good.
Great. All right. Now, I did include Kevin Conroy, obviously for legacy reasons, but I did say I wanted to show live action.
Right.
And he does play Bruce Wayne in the CW Crisis in Infinite Earths.
Oh, interesting.
And so he does show up. He is cast in a villainous role as like the Batman who wants to kill Superman in his particular Infinite Earth. But yeah, like I couldn't not include Kevin Conroy in the legacy of Batman. He has done more across the animated series, Mask of the Phantasm, the video games, what he's done as a champion of the character in fandom. Kevin Conroy is a Batman legend, and for me to leave him off this list would be folly.
Yeah, I would have complained if you did.
Great. What are your favorite Batman animated? Have you ever played any of the video games, Jill? Did you like Mask of the Phantasm? Did you ever see Kevin Conroy in that one episode of Matlock where he played a witness?
Matlock?
Yes. It's true. It's a true story. But anyway, what did you think about Kevin Conroy as Batman?
Oh, Phantasm. What was that? Did y'all review that on the Phantasmagorium?
Mask of the Phantasm?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If y'all did, then I might have watched it. It was good. I like the animated series the best, obviously, and I haven't watched all of it, but I watched some season 1. There were so many episodes. They pumped out a ton of cartoons, and so I still have. That's the best part for me, is I still have new Kevin Conroy to see. I like the time. It's always exciting to watch a cartoon and you notice the voice actors. Dr. Pulaski shows up as a doctor in the animated series, and I got super excited for that. I think probably the only animated series Batman I didn't like was that one with the kids. There were like some kids in a house. I don't know what that was, but that one wasn't good.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I'll check it out though. It's one of those ones that I'll probably end up seeing and I'll be like, you know what, Jill was right.
Well,
Um,
I'm wondering, maybe somebody won a contest or something. Was that ever a thing?
I don't know. Are you sure you're not getting mixed up with like Star Trek: The Next Generation when someone was like they won a contest and they got to be in like a season 1 episode?
Oh, really? What? I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah.
I know that happened with South Park, but
And Kat, what?
you
Oh,
just
sorry.
watch Kevin Conroy as Batman in the animated series, and you just feel like, hey, this feels right. He gets to be intelligent. He's not just one way or another. He's just perfect. Go ahead.
Well, I think that Kevin Conroy does my best differential between Batman and Bruce. Is like when he does put on the mask of Bruce Wayne, that lilting sort of easygoing voice that he has, that's Bruce Wayne. In fact, even going back to Affleck, they modeled his, like, if you look, I don't know if it can. No, there we go. So if you look at his hairline here, Ben Affleck does not have a widow's peak, but Kevin Conroy's animated Batman had a widow's peak, and so they incorporated the widow's peak into the makeup design for Bruce Wayne from the Snyderverse. I think that is probably the most Batman accurate thing that they did, and it is in homage to Kevin Conroy. Like I think he is one of those people where it's like, who is the definitive Batman? Well, there's enough media to say just by the numbers, it's Conroy.
Yeah, Conroy's the best Batman. Full
There
stop.
we go. It's over. It's done.
Yep, full stop.
It's just his personality that comes out through his voice acting.
Yeah, and Bruce Wayne. It's like it's a 2 for 1. He's the best. From the animated shows, the video games, fantastic. And I've said the same thing about Mark Hamill as the Joker. The best. Full stop.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
you
I'm
there,
fine with
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So nothing but praise, nothing but love. Speaking of nothing but praise and love,
I think it gets his intro version perfect too, which is something some of the movies don't get.
Mm.
well, when in Mask of the Phantasm, when he goes to his parents' grave, like it's just such a great vocal performance. Like it's a great acting choice in terms of how he does it, and he portrays such sadness and longing and desire to do right by his parents, but wanting to also do right in his own life. And so he does great. Hey, look at Suzanne. Hey, Suzanne, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here.
He had the better episode with Mr. Freeze, the 2-parter episode. That actually made me cry. It was so good.
Well, and that was Heart of Ice, yeah. All right. So obviously we'll close the Batman out with the most recent of the Batman. Robert Pattinson. I was hesitant about this casting choice, but not because of why you'd think, because I'm a Twilight fan. I like Twilight. I think it's just cheesy, melodramatic vampire werewolf hilarity.
Oh, it sucks.
That's your decision. That's your decision, and I accept your apology. But
I agree, Jill. Oh gosh, I have a funny story to tell about that, but I'll tell it later.
But I had seen Robert Pattinson in Good Time. I hadn't seen the what was the Lighthouse movie? What was it called?
The Lighthouse.
Oh, that makes sense. And And yeah, and I know that he's a decent actor. And the only thing I didn't like about him as Batman was his emo Bruce Wayne. That was the thing that bothered me the most about that movie. But when he was in the suit, when he was doing the detective, when he was interacting with Gordon and Catwoman and the Penguin, like I thought he was really, really good. Even in the interrogation with the Riddler and the deleted Joker, I think that it's a good movie. I think the end turns into something that's a little bit more generic, but I'm glad that the first two acts are as influenced by Seven and more gritty crime dramas than we'd seen before in Batman. And then it turns into a Batman movie in the third act. But I think it's good. I think it's good.
I think he's a great Batman and Bruce Wayne. I love that because clearly what he's doing with Bruce Wayne is it's part of his arc as a character. Like in this movie, he creates his enemies in this. He creates the Riddler essentially, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm responsible for all of this." And you could tell that's like the shock that he has at the end of the movie, because even Gordon criticizes him at one point for being more of a hard ass and more vengeance oriented than detective oriented, which is taken straight from the pages of The Long Halloween. And so that's because again, it's like there's plenty of times in this movie, despite being a full on detective story, which I appreciated, he's not a very good detective. There's a lot of times where he's missing all these obvious clues. And that's because he's more obsessed with vengeance, which is of course part of the whole epiphany at the end of the movie that he has, which is that, oh, I can't, like, this isn't the answer. This isn't the way I should be living my life, or the way I should, like, Alfred's constantly harping on him about it. So I didn't really get the criticisms because it's clear that this is the kind of the arc he's going on. He's going to be he's on his way to being the regular Bruce Wayne playboy. And if you're going to be motivated by the murder of your parents to do something this drastic, then you bet that's going to have an effect on your personality. And so it's just doing it, which is a facet that, again, a lot of old Batman movies never address. It's like, yeah, Batman Begins, it does a whole origin of how he decides to, like, he's fighting crime and how he becomes Batman through Ra's al Ghul, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, psychologically speaking, it's clear even in the comics that some of it, when he says, like, even Kevin Conroy, I am the night, I am vengeance. It's like, yeah, you were a vengeance. You were living out a revenge fantasy against the guys who killed your parents. And I like that change in this movie too, where unlike in the comics where it's Joe Chill, they don't know who did it. In this one, it's kind of up in the air and they play that to the mystery. But I like that. That's like, it's not just the same Batman Bruce Wayne thing every time. This is a different version of the character. And Gotham is in itself a very alive and breathing character in this movie. Very dark and gritty. I think it copies Seven to a fault in the climax. Like, it copies it too much. But I think, Colin Farrell's great as the Penguin. His series was really fun. John Turturro, even as Falcone, I thought that was kind of odd casting when I first heard about it. But I'm like, hey, he actually is a pretty cool Falcone. But yeah, I kind of dig this character, or this Batman character, and Catwoman and all that. So I'm really eagerly awaiting the next. Like, that's really the only superhero movie I am anticipating is the Batman Part 2, should it ever get made.
Well, yeah, and I am, and exactly when I say that I don't like Bruce Wayne in this, I do understand that we are on a journey to see where his Batman comes out on the other side, and the evolution is going to be interesting to see. But it's like, and I guess it's the difference between, at the end of Batman Begins, there's that tease of the Joker with the card, and you're like, oh, what's next? And this one is waiting for the inevitability of the sequel, because it's a Batman. And they made the Penguin, so you know that there's more coming. But I just wish there was a little bit more of a tease as to what the future held in store for Bruce and Batman. But I will be anxious. I will be looking forward to the Batman 2.
I think it's kind of teased that he's going to be more active as Bruce Wayne in the city and not be the emo kid in the next one, given how the film ends.
Yeah. All right.
Having
Well,
not seen it, I'm gonna steal from Scotty. Haven't seen it, don't like it. Because they say he's
hey.
emo, and I hear that, of course he didn't work out for the role, and he's supposed to be the peak of the human condition.
Eh.
Even as a kid in the animated series, he was shown to be in a dojo, and of course he wasn't as built as he was later, but he was still doing athletic things, still learning how to be more than more than a normal human would achieve at that age. And so I think they dwindled him down and allowed the actor to do what he wanted instead of being Batman. But
See,
I'll
it's a
still I'll
funny
still watch it. Maybe I'll change my mind.
it's a funny story with Batman. Because yeah, the character of Batman, and Affleck got ripped. I don't think Clooney did. Uh Obviously Christian Bale had his, because he likes to act with his body. But like, being fit, the thing is that when Michael Keaton was making Batman, he was working out and training and whatever, and then Jack Nicholson, this is a story that Michael Keaton told, so it's about as accurate as you would see on a talk show. But he's doing all this, and then Jack Nicholson walks by and says, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm working out because I'm Batman." And he's like, well, "Have you seen the suit? Like, the suit's going to take care of all that." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I don't really have to." And it's all whimsical and guffaw and talk show fodder. But then Robert Pattinson didn't work out. You don't have to. He doesn't have to.
He's pretty ripped in this movie when you see him, especially when he's there in the scene with his shirt off and everything. He looks great. I think
He didn't have a body double. I kept hearing about body doubles.
No.
Tell me about that.
He made those comments during the 8-month layover during COVID where they shut down production.
Oh,
And they weren't, doing anything. And it's like, because it is hard. Like even like what is it? Hugh Jackman says the reason he's so reluctant to come back as Wolverine is because that's really difficult to maintain that kind of body, especially as you get older. And it's like, okay, you signed on to be Batman, you work out for Batman or whatever, and then you find out that we're stuck for 8 months, and you're not sure if we're gonna get, because the schedule already was like a 9-month shoot, and because it's Matt Reeves, and now it's like, oh, now we have to add another 8 or 9 months on top of that because COVID. And it's like, well, if he's gonna be in the suit the majority of the time, and yeah, they had the one shirtless scene, sure, but it is what it is. I think it was fine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but
Like I said, George Clooney.
he's got to look like he feels the shirt when he's Bruce.
Oh yeah, he
suit,
still
rather.
feels it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it, so I guess
Yeah, he
maybe
still
it's
looks
better
fine
than I
as
thought.
the only things that I have against the movie is that I think that I was daunted going into it the first time I saw it, and I was like, "This is going to be too long." It looks like it's too long. How long is it? 240?
Excluding trailers and credits, the movie itself is 2 hours 47 minutes on the dot.
Yeah,
Gosh,
so
golly.
that's a bit of a hike. But
I
when I
like
watched
it.
it,
It takes its time.
but when I watched it,
very
it
many
didn't
scenes,
feel long.
Yeah, I mean, there's not very many scenes in it either. Like you can count the number of scenes left in the movie on your hand when you get to the halfway point. It's just that they let the camera let you soak in it. Like it's not one of those movies that has a cut every cut every 2 seconds. So it like a detective story. You're in it. I do feel it kind of getting slow in the third act though.
And
I
then my
do
other
like the detective stuff, so maybe. Go ahead.
and my other complaint is just the Riddler costume, because I want my classic Riddler costume, and I know it works better in the movie and in the world, and it probably makes even more sense to be that way in reflection of the Penguin, which I haven't seen, but I hope to someday. But yeah, and both one is an aesthetic choice, and the other one is a matter of my own patience. And that one floated away as soon as I watched it. Didn't notice the runtime, and I've learned to live with the Riddler.
The gimp suit.
That's right.
Not really a gimp suit, but
The mask, GIMP mask, I
Well,
guess.
it's a legit cold weather combat mask or whatever they call it. I've seen them at actual surplus stores.
Yeah, and I wanted a bowler hat and a domino mask and a double-breasted green blazer with question marks all over it.
I think he might be building to that.
Let's hope.
Mm.
Phantom Outsider is here. Hey, Phantom Outsider. What stunk was getting Conroy in live action in the worst possible series in the CW and making him a villain so stupid. I don't know. Like when we're looking at it, like I don't. Oh, there we go. Because this guy, this is the setup that they had, and it was like I don't know. I liked making Batman the villain. I liked that idea. It didn't bother me. But if you did not care for it, that's okay. But then also and I'm not a CW fanboy, I don't understand the worst possible series in the CW. I thought that's what we just called the CW. Moving on.
I get it though. You kind of want Conroy playing like a heroic version of Bruce Wayne Batman live action because they never gave him that chance. And the one time they do, it's like, no, you got to be the bad guy. It's like, really? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that does him dirty for sure. But he's also aged out of being Batman at that point too when he was playing him live action. Unless, like, maybe if they did like a Batman Beyond thing, which might have been cooler. But yeah. Phantom Outsider continued to say the funniest thing about Pattinson is he's already aging out of being Batman. How old is he? He's not aging out. How old is he? Like 35 tops?
No, he's 39 this year, I think.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, for a Batman who's supposed to be in year 2, it's like they need to get their ass moving on this.
Yeah, yes.
I was gonna say he's my age, yeah.
I did not know I'd need to be a detective was odd, as Batman is the world's greatest detective, and I think it was Detective 528 or 29 Sherlock Holmes declares it to be so. Well, it's also it's a matter of being consumed with the vengeance, I think.
That's sourced straight from A Long Halloween, where Gordon criticizes Batman because you're not really being as much of a detective. You're into the vengeance thing, and he's kind of calls him out for it. And you have that in this movie as well.
Yeah. And Phantom Outsider says, well, to be fair, in the comics, Bruce did not find out it was Joe Chill for years. For, I think, 3 decades, the shooter was a nameless individual, which I kind of like it. I like it better when he's a nameless individual because that just means that every criminal is the potential person who killed my parents, kind of being vengeance, which is Batman. Well, part of Batman and being a great detective. Canadian Spider-Man is here. Hello and good day, eh?
Hello, Spidey. And I agree.
And Gorilla Censored Thoughts. Kapla. It's good to see you, Gorilla. And Phantom says, actually, Batman's first appearance in Detective 19 he was 33 and 39. He is named in Batman 47 in 1948 and dies again in Detective 20 when he is again named. I was only aware of the 56 appearances. Now, this is beyond my knowledge. Cat is, and I'm going to throw Cat under the bus and be like,
Batman first
I don't know what's going on.
DC 33 in 1939, DC Detective Comics number 27 in 1939. He's named Batman in 47 and 1948 and dies again in Detective 235, 1956, where he is again named. I was only aware of the 50. Oh, wait, right. A detective. Oh, right. You're talking about Joe Chill. Sorry. Yes, detective. Yeah,
Oh.
detective. The kill. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, the guy who killed his parents. Detective Comics number 33 in 1939. They name him in Batman 47 in 1948, and he dies. And then and then again in Detective 235 in 1956, where he is again named, and he was only aware of the 50. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because they, I got reprints of the early comics called the Batman Chronicles, and the first story they put there is, the Batman, who he is and how he came to be, and it's like a one-page spread telling the story of his parents being killed, but you don't see who it is. And so later on is when you come upon like that it's an actual the shooter and stuff. And you're right, there was continuity issues where they kill him and then they bring him back and that kind of thing.
And where we go. Remember in Batman 1 in 1939, he trained both his mind and his body for his mission of stopping what happened to him ever happening to anyone else. Yeah, but like Phantom Outsider, there are times when Batman is carrying a fucking 45 Magnum in the early appearances, and then later on he's like, I will never use such a thing that took the lives of my parents. But he did it for the first decade of the thing. Now, I'm not saying that you're incorrect, but I'm just saying, like, when you go back all the way to 39, there's been a lot of stuff phased in and phased out. And if there are different interpretations, like Adam West or the animated series or even Val, like it's a different adaptation. Affleck as Dark Knight Returns, but being 10 years too young for that story. Like I love all the interpretations, and that's why we're sort of celebrating all of them. And again, not an exhaustive list. I didn't even bring up Diedrich Bader.
Oh yeah,
which is probably my second favorite Batman. But
why?
Well, because I love the Drew Carey show and Diedrich Bader was in it. So it has nothing to do with Batman. It's just that I'm a fan of Diedrich Bader. But yeah. So I suppose we've been going for a bit, and I want to thank everybody who is in the chat. But before we do thank the chat, I just want to ask Jill, because I know you have a lengthy list of things that are on your list. What Batman are you going to pursue next?
What Batman am I going to pursue next?
Like which one? Which movie or TV show?
I think I'm probably going to watch The Dark Knight. I've never seen it, and Kat's really excited for me to see it. So
yes,
I'll start there.
That is a good call.
And the second thing I'll do is go watch all the cartoons I haven't seen.
That's also a very good call. Kat, are there any holes in your Batman knowledge that need to be filled?
Like in movie knowledge, I mean, some of the animated films I haven't seen. I've seen all the live action stuff, and I got all the live actions. Oh, except for I don't have the live action Adam West stuff or the serials from the 40s. And I haven't.
Have you seen
the first serial? I haven't seen the full serials of either of those from the 40s. So
I need to see Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I didn't even.
It was good too.
Well, I didn't even bring up the Andy Warhol Batman Dracula. But yeah, Lemon, I knew I was wrong as soon as I said it. Kat, I have to apologize. Holes that need to be filled? Yeah, no, I should have worked better on that before. Anyway.
I picked up on it when you said it, but I'm like, I'm not gonna make it a thing. So
yeah, but it's Lemon, and we're allowed to talk about how I'm stupid. Phantom Outsider says, well, to be fair, everyone except Superman was packing a gun back then. Even Captain America had a gun, to be fair, but it was during a war. Well, yeah. Guns are guns. But Batman's the only one who really, as far as I'm concerned, has to adhere to a no gun. And that is even new to the mythology. And by new, I mean out of the last 90 years. It's within the last 60, I suppose. But
I really appreciate that in Batman. It's part of why I love him is that he'd rather catch the criminal and send him away, get him help, try to see, you know,
Yeah.
Too
And-
true.
instead of just killing.
So thank you so much, chat. Thank you for being here, File 13. Bumpmaster 1. I feel like I know who Bumpmaster 1 is, and I should be able to say so, but I don't. I didn't. I forget. Looks good. It is looking good. Thank you for being here, Lemon. Lovely and delightful. FKHC 2005. It's a pleasure to see you hanging out over on the Cinema Gulp. You guys don't forget to like and subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your mom. Protein. Thank you for being here, Protein. Obviously, Ben from Cinema Gulp being on the Cinema Gulp channel. Certainly liked and subscribed. Suzanne, always a pleasure to see you, Mrs.
Suzanne.
Phantom Outsiders, thank you so much for contributing to the conversation, adding your knowledge, your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. I know
Wait,
that has
is
nothing
Suzanne
to
a
do with
Mrs.?
Batman.
She might be a Miss.
Suzanne? Well, an MISSUS. I'm saying it colloquially, not necessarily as if we're like, I'm not asking anybody to marry me this time. Canadian Spider-Man, great to see you, buddy. Which continent are you in? Are you in the northern or the southern?
He's in Mexico.
Oh, you're in say
Now
what
that you
now?
asked. I believe he's
Anyway.
still in Mexico. Yeah, he just he did some he was barbecuing some fish. How was the sailfish? He's
The
still around.
shellfish? Yeah.
The sailfish. It's like some kind of
Sailfish?
hardy looking fish. It looked like a steak he could throw on the grill, and that's exactly what Spidey did.
Go check it out over on Canadian Spider-Man's YouTube channel. He has travel logs and adventures for your entertainment. Gorilla Censored Thoughts. Good to see you, sir. I hope that everything goes well with your copyright claim. Was it Warner Brothers that did that? We're all just shitting on Warner Brothers today.
It did go well. It got
It
lifted.
did? Good.
It took 18 hours. And yeah, he's good now.
Well, good. Good.
Did you say?
Yeah. So I suppose, Kat, do you have anything you want to say about what we're doing in the future on the Phantasmagorium, or where you're hanging out with your Star Wars peeps?
Before I do, did you say who your favorite live action Batman was?
No, I didn't. Well, the answer is John Hamm. But I would,
Second.
I'm going to say, based on the first two, I'm going to say Christian Bale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phantasmagorium, we are going to start the Mission Impossible series tomorrow with the Mission Impossible 1 and so on and so forth. That'll be tomorrow night at 7:30 Pacific. And let's see that and then I have my Star Wars show every second and fourth Sunday. We're going to be talking about old, Captain America, Oscars, other things that we're just going to catch up on because Star Wars news has been kind of slow lately. Closing in on Celebration. It's only a month away now. I'm not going though. Yeah, that's that.
And Jill, what do you got going on over in your neck of the woods?
Well, I have a Friday show coming up, and we're going to cover a movie I have not yet seen called Superman 2. I have reviewed the original Superman, so I'm excited to see this next installment. And it's a little late, but I guess it's not too late, of a tribute to Gene Hackman and all the cool stuff he's done. And on Tuesdays, what's that?
I haven't seen that film either.
Oh, you
haven't seen Superman 2?
Nope. I only
That's
watched
crazy.
Superman 78 for the first time about a couple months ago.
You're in for a treat.
On Tuesdays, I'm watching The Twilight Zone. So great to fill in all those holes also. And
Phrasing again,
I did it on purpose though. This
yeah,
time.
fair enough. At least, yeah, no, you knew what you're doing. I didn't.
So then, also, I play video games every once in a while. I'm working my way through frustrating Scotty R37 by playing Fallout, the nuclear war playing game, role playing game, but I am on the route to getting the water chip, so maybe he can relax once I get that water chip.
Yes.
And once a month, I have a Saturday night shore leave, which is just a open topic panel. And sometimes I have shore. You never know when I'm going to have a shore leave or a Calto. Calto being the video games. And I have a membership stream once a month, and those are fun too.
And yeah, I want to thank Ben and John and Joanne for not being here, so that we could sit and talk about Batman for a bit. If you want to check out all of the video content, not just the live content, but the edited content, if you want to see how your favorite movies would be destroyed or elevated if they had been directed by J.J. Abrams, that's a playlist. And there have been a bunch of film retrospectives, and there's a lot of absolutely quality content and creativity here on Cinema Gulp. So on behalf of Cinema Gulp, thank you all for being here. I have to go and gargle some nails. I will see you all in the future. And thanks again. See you. Bye.
Good night.
Night.
I always fuck this